8065 or 1-866-361-0900. If you want to give me information about the show, tips, ideas, complaints, criticisms, I listen to them all. I read them all. And I soak them in, and some of the stuff becomes part of the show. Some of the guests that you recommend become part of the show. You can always send me an email at vthompson, that's VTHOMPSON, at wordradio.com, or you can call me at 215-425-7875, extension 106. You'll leave me a voicemail message. I promise I listen to every voicemail message, even the ones that don't like me. I listen to those as well. Or you can tweet me information at my Twitter handle, which is MediaManCom. That's MediaManComm. You can also follow Word Radio on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we're onWURD. That's FORWURD. On Twitter, we're onWURD. That's ONWURD. On Instagram, we are onWURD. And on Tumblr, we are onWURD. So, again, you can also watch the show on Facebook, post your comments up there, and I'll try to read them throughout the show, time permitting. So let's get into some of the political news that have happened over the weekend, some juicy nuggets that I want you to hear. This weekend, I was at the Philadelphia NAACP Award Gala, and City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker gave a passionate speech at the gala. She was honored with an award from the organization. Now, in her speech, she strongly suggested that she wanted to have a greater impact on issues that impact the city as a whole, not just focus in on the issues impacting her 9th Councilmatic District. While Councilwoman Parker, I was about to call her Congresswoman, while Councilwoman Parker didn't come close to saying she will run for mayor in 2023, it sounded to me like a speech from a person who wants to have a greater say in issues impacting Philadelphia in the near future. Now, Parker's name has been one of the names mentioned as a possible Democratic mayoral candidate in 2023. Also mentioned have been council members Alan Dom, Helen Gim, and Maria Quinones-Sanchez. Now, under the city charter, Mayor Kenney cannot run for a third consecutive term in 2023, so a new person will become mayor of Philadelphia in January 2024. Let's assume that Mayor Kenney wins re-election in November against Republican Billy Ciancaglini, which I would be shocked if Mayor Kenney lost to Billy Ciancaglini. If Mayor Kenney loses to Billy Ciancaglini, it will be one of the greatest upsets in Philadelphia political history. So let's assume he wins another term, gets sworn in January. Again, his tenure ends in January 2024. There will be a mayoral election in 2023, and some of the names that you've heard are folks that are being bantied about as possible mayoral candidates. Now, I've heard some other interesting rumors about politics. It's going to take me time to confirm those rumors before I broadcast them here on Future Political Source or Philadelphia City Council live shows. But when you hear those political rumors and I confirm them, they are going to be some doozies. Now, the new Philadelphia City Council is going to be sworn in this coming January, and look for a battle about who will become the next majority leader. That's the number 2 person in city council leadership, just under the council president. Philadelphia City Councilwoman Maria Quinones-Sanchez is the only council member who has publicly called for Councilman Bobby Heenan to step down as majority leader in light of the federal corruption case against him, Electricians Union leader John Doherty, and other officials at the Electricians Union. Now, Heenan won the Democratic primary for a 6th councilmatic district seat in May without any opposition. He faces Republican Pete Smith in the November election, but he's expected to easily win a third 4-year term in the heavily Democratic district. Heenan has told me that he plans to seek re-election as majority leader next year and that he's focused on serving the voters of his district despite the criminal charges against him. He also says he is innocent of all charges. Now, no trial date has been set, but any trial for Councilman Heenan and Electricians Union leader Johnny Doherty would most likely start sometime in 2020. Councilwoman Sanchez told me in an interview on the City Council Live show last week that she will not run for majority leader next year. She's not expected to run for any of the leadership positions in City Council. Now, Heenan got Councilman Curtis Jones out as majority leader several years ago, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jones runs for majority leader next year. Council will also have to elect a new majority whip and deputy whip next year, now that current whip Blondell Reynolds Brown and deputy whip Bill Greenlee retire at the end of this year. Now, council will have at least three new members next year. Democrat Catherine Gilmore Richardson, she won the Democratic at-large primary in May. She was once chief of staff to outgoing councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown and expected to replace Brown in council. Democrat Isaiah Thomas also won in the Democratic at-large primary in May. It was the third time Thomas has run for council. He will replace Bill Greenlee in council, and Democratic 3rd District candidate Jamie Gauthier, she defeated Councilwoman Janie Blackwell in the May primary. Blackwell has represented West Philly since taking over for her late husband, Lucian Blackwell, who held the seat from 1975 to 1992. Combined, they have represented West Philadelphia for over 45 years. But Janie Blackwell will leave council as of January, and Jamie Gauthier will take over as the new council person for the 3rd District. So we're at least going to have 3 new members of city council next year. We could have more based upon what happens in the November election. One of the major races on the ballot next month is who will be selected as the 7 at-large council members starting next year. There are 5 Democrats who are running. They are Richardson, Thomas, and the Democratic incumbents Helen Gim, Alan Dom, and Derek Green. 5 Republican candidates are also running for the 2 at-large seats that are set aside for the minority party under the Philadelphia City Charter. They are Dan Tinney, Councilman Al Tautenberger, Matt Wolf, Bill Heaney, and Councilman David O. And finally, we have lots of independent at-large candidates running this year, attempting to win 1 or 2 of the seats that are set aside for the minority party. It's very unusual that we have these many independent candidates running for city council. Let me tell you who they are, since it might be the only time that you've heard their names before the November election. They are Libertarian Party candidate Maj Touré, a Better Council candidate Sherry Cohen. That's the daughter of the late city councilman David Cohen. There are 2 independents, Joe Cox and Claire King. There is a Steve Chervansky. He represents the Term Limits Philadelphia Party. And then there's the Working Families Party with Kendra Brooks and Nicholas O'Rourke. I know for a fact that Kendra Brooks, Nicholas O'Rourke, and Maj Touré are African American. Now, for the at-large seats in the upcoming November 5th election, voters can only select 5 candidates. So you can't vote for all 7. You can only vote for 5. Now, you're allowed to vote for any candidate on the ballot you want, since November is a general election, and that is open to all registered voters, no matter what party you are registered with. In the at-large race, 7 candidates will win, and those 7 will be sworn into office in January. There's also a competitive race in Council's 10th District in Northeast Philadelphia. Longtime incumbent Republican Brian O'Neill, who has been in office since 1980. So he's been in office when he was sworn in. Wilson Good was also sworn in as mayor. So he has been around a long time. He is being challenged by Democrat Judy Moore. Now, if listeners want more information about the upcoming election in Philadelphia, and we're going to have new voting machines in the city this year, and starting next month, you can go to the Philadelphia City Commissioner's website at Philadelphia Votes, that's all one word.com, that's PhiladelPhia Votes, VOTES.com. And in the November election, the Philadelphia City Commissioner's Office will be using nearly 2,000 Express Vote XL machines. That's the name of the machine. So the new machine is going to be brand new, and you'll be able to vote on those. They look like a television screen. It looks like a big screen television that you can just touch with your fingers. That's what you're going to be seeing when you go into the polling booth this year in Philadelphia. So get ready to vote on those machines. The city commissioners have been bringing those machines out all over the city for you to touch and look at and experience. And if you want to know where they're going to be at, these machines in your neighborhood, give them a call. The city commissioners will call it 215-686-1590. That's 215-686-1590 for updates. Give them a call tomorrow. There are no city offices in Philadelphia open today because they are celebrating the Columbus Day holiday. Also in some areas it's Indigenous Peoples Day. But in Philadelphia, most city, state, and federal government offices are closed today because of the Columbus Day holiday. So give them a call tomorrow. Also, remember, if you are going to vote in the November 5th general election, the deadline to register to vote in Pennsylvania has closed. So you can't, if you register now, you won't be able to vote until the next election. So if you're not sure if you're registered to vote in this election and you go to the voter registration and you fill out a registration now, that will make you eligible for next year's elections. Now, if you're not sure if you're registered to vote in this year's elections, in the November 5th general election, here's two ways that you can find out. One, you should call your local city or county board of elections. They'll be able to tell you if you're on the voting rolls. Or you can go to the Department of State's website, which is votespa.com. That's VOTESPA.com. And you can do that today. You can do that right now. The website's not affected by federal, city, and state governments being closed for the Columbus Day holiday. Now, here's an important thing. Registered voters planning to cast an absentee ballot this year are advised to apply and return their voted ballots as soon as possible. This is the first election in Pennsylvania where voters can apply online for an absentee ballot. So you can apply online for your absentee ballot. There's no excuse not to vote in this election. So if you're not going to be able to be at a polling place on November 5th, say you have family members or you're going to be out of town or you're going to be doing something else, you can always apply for an absentee ballot. You can do that online. I would go to votespa.com to get some information about how to apply for your ballot online. Votespa.com, the Pennsylvania Department of State's website, has a lot of great information that you can check out all year long. Now, due to the 3-day time frame between the deadline to request an absentee ballot, which this year is October 29th, and the deadline by which county election offices must receive the ballot, that's 5 p.m. November the 1st. Voters are strongly urged to submit their absentee ballot request, whether online or on paper, well before the deadline. Now, voters may deliver their absentee ballots in person to a county election office or mail them if there are adequate time for delivery. Now, this is important in Pennsylvania. The election office, your county election office, must receive your absentee ballot by 5 p.m. November 1st. They have to have it in their hand by that time. A postmark with the deadline date is not sufficient for the ballot to be counted, meaning that even if you send it to your county board of elections and the postmark is November 1st, if the Board of Elections doesn't physically receive that absentee ballot, it will not be counted. So I always tell people, if you're not sure about getting your absentee ballot in, go down to your Board of Elections. Take it down to them. They'll process it in a couple of minutes. That way your vote is counted. Because, sending it in, sometimes the mail is pretty slow and you're not sure if you get your vote counted. And we want to make sure everybody gets their vote counted. Now, on November the 5th, Pennsylvania voters will elect judges and county local officials. There's a proposed constitutional amendment on crime victims' rights known as Marsy's Law that's also going to be on the ballot. I know there's some debate about whether that's going to be on the ballot. Some people want it on, some people don't. Some have filed lawsuits, I believe, to take it off the ballot and keep it on the ballot. But as of right now, that constitutional amendment is scheduled to be on the Pennsylvania ballot on November the 5th. Now, if you want more information on voter registration, voting, and elections, you can call the Department of State's toll-free hotline, and that you can do it tomorrow, at 1-877-868-3772. That's 1-877-868-3772. That's known as 877-VOTES-PA. So if you want to get all your information about voting in the upcoming election, that's the best way to do it. Now, just to give you a rundown of some of the guests we're going to have on the show today, in just a few minutes, I'm going to speak to Diane Mealy. She's the executive director of Second Century Initiatives for the Philadelphia Foundation to discuss On the Table. It's an initiative that is happening in Philadelphia this coming Thursday. It is basically where thousands of people throughout the Delaware Valley go sit around tables and have lunch, or have breakfast or have dinner and talk about issues that impact the region and issues that impact all of us here in the Delaware Valley. This is the third year for it. Word Radio has been very active in On the Table for the first 2 years of it, and we're active in it again this year. I will be participating in an On the Table event on Thursday after Philadelphia City Council Live is over. I'll be going from City Council chambers to a location to be named later. You can listen in to the show, the City Council Live show, and I'll tell you where I'll be. You can also join me on that date, Thursday, October the 17th. I'll also share it on our Facebook and our Twitter pages about information about On the Table, how you can register, and also, just other information that you're going to need to know about that event. It's a free event. It's open to the public. They want you to register ahead of time, but you can do all that registration online. During the 11 o'clock hour, I'm going to be joined by Anthony DeFanius. He's a associate professor of history at Otterbein University in Ohio. The fourth Democratic presidential debate is going to be happening tomorrow, October 15th, at Otterbein University, which is outside of Columbus, Ohio. So 12 of the Democratic candidates running for president will have a debate. They'll all be on the stage at the same time for the latest presidential debate, and we will talk about that and President Donald Trump and some of the issues that he's dealing with. Also, sometime during the show, I will run a interview that I did over the weekend with New Jersey NAACP President Richard Smith. The NAACP State Convention happened this weekend in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, so I had the chance to speak to President Smith about some of the issues that the NAACP is fighting for in New Jersey. A lot of interesting issues that are happening in New Jersey. And then during our 12 o'clock segment, we always do a good news story of the week. And this week, I'm letting you know that in Camden, New Jersey, there is going to be more than one professional basketball team. Yes, we know that the Sixers have their practice facility and their offices in Camden, New Jersey. They play their games in Philadelphia. But Camden's going to have its own professional basketball team. It's a semi-pro team. It's going to be known as the Camden Monarchs. They're going to be part of the ABA, the American Basketball Association, and they are run by an African-American woman. Her name is Giovanni Thompson, no relation to me. But we're going to bring her into the studio. We're going to talk about her team and what she hopes for Camden. And then we're also going to open it up to your calls as well. Our phone lines are open if you want to talk about anything. Give us a call at 215-634-8065 or 1-866-361-0900. Give us a call. We'll bring you on after our commercial break. You're listening to The Political Source. You're on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
Reality check. Reality Check, hosted by Charles Ellison, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com. Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media. Listen live at wordradio.com.
We filmed 15 Pennsylvania kids who were all waiting to be adopted and asked what having a family and permanent home would mean to them.
I want a family just to accept me for who I am, to be there just to support me whenever I'm needing it.
To be matched with a family would be amazing. I won't be in a system all the time.
Visit adoptpakids.org to watch the video, meet the kids, and learn how you can become a foster or adoptive parent.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Word family, you are not alone.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Word Radio wants you to know that those who suffer from this disease,
their families,
and friends are not alone. Word Radio encourages everyone to fight.
That's why we're launching Fight for Word, an awareness campaign aimed at bringing attention to early detection,
support groups,
prevention, and treatment of breast cancer.
This month, we're shining a light on those in the fight.
Plus, all month long, when you start or renew your 4Word membership, you'll get a very special pink Fight 4Word t-shirt.
Keep the conversation going with the hashtag #FightForward.
And share inspirational messages, stories, and words of encouragement.
Make a difference.
Together.
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 Together, let's fight forward.
For more information or to start or renew your 4Word membership, call 215-425-7875.
The Uptown Theater presents the Chairman's Ball on Saturday, October 26th from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. at the Berean Presbyterian Church, located at 2101 North Broad Street. Masquerade attire, black and white, is optional. Call 215-236-1878.
You're listening to The Source
On Word Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Ready or Not by the Fugees, instrumental that you heard right there. Again, throughout the show, we play instrumental music to take me into breaks and out of breaks. That was recommended by Word Radio listener Teresa Spencer. Teresa, thank you very much for the song. Again, if you are a listener and you have a song you might want us to play here on The Political Source, please email them to me, vthompson@wordradio.com. That's vthompson@wordradio.com. We only play the instrumentals of a song. So you can give me the name of a song. I will try to find if there's an instrumental for it. And if there is, we will use it on the air. I sometimes having words in songs, because some of the words that are used in songs, we can't always air them on commercial radio. So we like to air the instrumentals. So thanks, Teresa Spencer, for giving us that song. We're going to have other songs that you listen throughout the show today. Also, in every show, we have at least one song from a Philadelphian. So we're going to surprise you which Philadelphian we play in one of the commercial breaks. So we do thank you for listening to The Political Source. Again, you're listening to The Political Source here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. I'm your host, Vincent Thompson, principal at Thompson Media Man Communications here in Philadelphia. Now, the third annual On the Table event will take place on Thursday, October the 17th. Thousands of people from throughout the greater Philadelphia region will participate in events designed to elevate civic conversation, foster new relationships, and create a unifying experience. Here to discuss On the Table Philly this year is Diane Melly. She's the executive director of Second Century Initiatives for the Philadelphia Foundation, the folks that are putting this together. Miss Melly, thanks a lot for being with us here on The Political Source.
Thank you so much for having me, Vincent.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, for some of us, what is the Philadelphia Foundation? What do you do?
Well, that's a great question. So the Philadelphia Foundation is actually the largest community foundation in the Philadelphia region. So it really focuses on strengthening the community. It supports the not-for-profits and the safety net to really build a stronger region for all Philadelphians.
So one of the things I think some people don't know is that the Philadelphia Foundation is the owner of the Inquirer and the Daily News. How does that work?
Well, that's a very interesting and complicated question. So let me just say that the Philadelphia Foundation has been honored to support the legacy of Jerry Lenfest. And so his donation of the Philadelphia Inquirer, as it results in the Philadelphia Institute for Journalism, is housed at the Philadelphia Foundation. So
now, the late Jerry Lenfest, he donated that to Philadelphia Foundation in 2014. It's now a new nonprofit. The Philadelphia Media Networks is now known as the Philadelphia Inquirer, LLC. So how does it, just to help our listeners, when they see the newspaper,
right,
they see a printed product, and they think that a newspaper is owned by, an organization like Knight Ridder. What really is Philadelphia's foundation in owning the Philadelphia Inquirer and the Daily News? Do you operate the day-to-day? Is there somebody else? I just want to get that clear for our listeners.
Okay, well, I'm actually here to talk about On the Table,
I
but happy
ma'am.
to...
I'll give you that, too.
Happy to just share with you at the highest level that I think some of the logic behind housing it at the Philadelphia Foundation is to really preserve journalism. And it really is a unique model, as you're pointing out, that in many other places around the country, newspapers and other media outlets are owned by conglomerates or by other individuals. In this case, what Jerry Lenfest wanted to do was really see the longevity of local reporting and of the whole profession of journalism. So housing it at the Philadelphia Foundation is not involved in the day-to-day operations of the Inquirer, but rather in the long-term viability of journalism in this region, and in particular in the Philadelphia Inquirer.
One of the reasons why I wanted to ask you about that, Ms. Melly, is because probably the most public thing that the Philadelphia Foundation is the Inquirer. So I wanted to let listeners know that is probably the most public thing. Let's talk a little bit more about the On the Table. Why did the Philadelphia Foundation bring On the Table to Philadelphia back in 2017? Why Philly?
Well, Philadelphia is a very engaged community, and the On the Table initiative actually began in Chicago. And so we're very proud in Philadelphia when we see something that's working really well, that's engaging thousands of residents throughout the Chicago region. We bought it here, and it is booming here. So we think it was a very wise decision, and we're now in the third year of hosting On the Table in partnership with the Knight Foundation.
Talk about what's going to happen this year, 2019. I know last year there were 5,000 people that participated in events all over the region. How many events happened last year? Do we know how many tables?
Yes, there were nearly 500 tables last year. Okay. So it's really a phenomenal, pun intended, the Philadelphia region has a very ferocious appetite for On the Table. So what you'll see happening on the Table this Thursday, October 17th, is hundreds of tables, nearly 500 again tables, throughout the 7-county region. And you asked about the Philadelphia Foundation. The Philadelphia Foundation, while named Philadelphia Foundation, serves the 7-county region. So you will see tables throughout the entire region, groupings of 8 to 12 people who are coming together to talk about what's working in our communities and what's challenging in our communities, and devise real solutions to move their ideas forward.
What are those 7 counties?
So the 7 counties are Philadelphia, 2 counties in New Jersey, Burlington and Camden, and the surrounding suburban counties to Philadelphia, Montgomery, Delaware County, Bucks County.
Right. So
yes.
So Philadelphia, the suburban counties that surround Philly, and then Burlington and Camden over in New Jersey.
Correct.
Those make up the 7 counties.
Yes.
If we had 5,000 people last year, how many people are you estimating this year?
We actually had about 7,000 over the first 2 years of On the Table. So this year, we really are targeting to have 5,000 individuals.
Okay.
And we are on course to do that. And hopefully with your promotion of this today, we'll see even more signups for tables.
Well, and we hope that people take advantage of it. If you'd like to call in and be a part of this discussion, give us a call at 215-634-8065 or 1-866-361-0900. I'm speaking to Diane Melly. She is the Executive Director of Second Century Initiatives for the Philadelphia Foundation, talking about On the Table Philly, which is going to happen on Thursday, October the 17th. It is free. All you got to do is register. Go to their website. We will give you their website in just a moment. But you can find one anywhere in the region. You know, if you live in Philly, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, Delaware County, I think I said Chester, right? The 5 counties surrounding us. Burlington and Camden, which is most of South Jersey. There is a table for you, and you can just go and register. Tables happen as soon as 8 in the morning, and some happen in the late afternoon, some happen in the early evening. I will be participating at a table. Last year, I did a 3-hour broadcast, which we called Word on the Table. It was really fascinating. I will be talking about Word on the Table on the City Council live show on the 17th at the beginning, and I will also be participating in the table. I don't know which table yet. So Diane and the folks at Philadelphia Foundation are finding me a table. So when I know the table, I will let listeners know exactly where I'm going to be at. Miss Melly, do you see a difference in the tables and the discussions that are talked at those tables? A good example, if there is a table in a mostly African-American neighborhood, are the issues and topics discussed there different than, say, a table that's in a mostly white suburb or a mostly white section of the city? Do you see differences in those tables, or are many of the issues the same?
I think that's an excellent question. So, on the table overall, you're going to see conversations across the spectrum of issues, ranging from arts and culture and how the creative economy can help improve the region, to homelessness issues, to urban violence, to educational issues. So broad spectrum of issues. And what you really see with each of the tables, because we're asking individuals and organizations to host tables, you're going to see what's their personal passion. So you may see an area, one that, as I was looking at the table signups last night, areas like Mount Airy, who have been so, wonderful in engaging their town watch. And they're very specifically looking at how do they engage the next generation, the younger people that are moving into the neighborhood, to continue that type of engagement locally in their neighborhood. So I think you're onto something here, that the issues are different, but they're all very personal issues. And we're asking people to really, think about what they care about and what they want to engage in.
In the 2 years of the program, have you noticed some kind of common themes throughout all the tables?
Yes.
I mean, what are those?
I think there's three main categories that we're seeing consistently, no matter whether it's a black neighborhood, a white neighborhood. People are concerned on three top issues. One is the economics. What is their situation in terms of gainful employment and being able to be actively engaged in a good job and in a good position. Education continues to be in the top three. Of course, safety. And safety for everyone. And those three issues, we continue to not just have the conversations on the table, but to really listen and bring those issues. Last spring, we brought the summary of all of the surveys that were completed by the On the Table participants to City Council, to the primary race last spring. We followed this past summer. It is the 100th anniversary of the Philadelphia Foundation this year. So we did an amazing program this summer where we held a public vote and asked for citizens to vote. And ironically, we chose those three categories, those three top categories, for where we would award $1 million of grants. And so the public voted. Nearly 200,000 residents voted for those $1 million worth of grants that have now been awarded. So the issues are resonating with people. It's something that people care about, and the Philadelphia Foundation is getting behind following up on the concerns that are resonating with the majority of people.
Ms. Mellor, let me have you put on your headset for just one moment, because we're going to go to the callers right now. It's Elias, I believe. Elias, you're on line one. Thanks for calling into the Political Source.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to be speaking to you guys, since you know a lot about politics.
A little something.
Yeah. I have a critical question here because I've been falling under deaf ears in City Council. It's in regards to the small mom-and-pop stores. The small mom-and-pop stores, the beer deli stores in our community. How does economically, with what kind of investment does the city receive from small businesses in our poor Black and Hispanic communities, right? This includes the beer deli stores, these small businesses, mom and pop stores. Do they meet up, our politicians or the city meets up with some type of business association from these small businesses? And what do they discuss? And how does the city profit and economically with these small businesses in our port?
Now, Elias, I just want to get clear about something. When you say investments, what do you mean by that? Because, a small mom and pop store in a commercial quarter, say 52nd and Market, right? I'm just come up with 52nd and Market. They have to go through the same things as everybody else. They have to get the business privilege licenses. They have to be approved by license and inspection. Beer deli has to be approved by the health department. There are rules and regulations concerning so-called stop and goes. What specifically do you mean by investment? I want to give you the right answer and direct you to the right area so that I'm clear what you're saying. Okay, well, I guess Elias is off. So let me say this: if there is a question about investments or beer gardens or stop and goes, one of the best places to ask about your concerns is your local Philadelphia city council person. Many neighborhoods throughout the city have their own business district, right? We know of the big Chamber of Commerce, the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce, but there's the African American Chamber of Commerce, and Philadelphia is unique because it's a city of neighborhoods, and every neighborhood kind of thinks of themselves as their own city. So think of Philadelphia as like 50 small cities within one city. So each one has their own kind of business association, whether it's the West Philadelphia Business Association, the Kensington Business Association, the North Philadelphia Business Association. They all have those. So if you're a listener and you're wondering about your local business organization, you can always contact them. But I always urge people to contact your local city council person when you have an issue about the city and what's going on. That's what you elected them for, right? There are 10 council people that represent 10 districts in the city. There are 7 at-large members of city council. That means they represent the entire city. So you don't have to live in, I'm just coming up with a name now, you don't have to live in the Northeast to be represented by Al Tautenberger. You don't have to live in Northwest Philadelphia to call Derek Green, even though that's where they live. They are elected as an at-large member to represent you. So always call your local elected official. You can find out information about them at phlcouncil.com. That's phlcouncil.com. That's the website for Philadelphia City Council. So Elias, thanks a lot for calling in. Ms. Melly, let me ask. I know you talked about the goal of a lot of these conversations is to bring people together, to make communities stronger. But I wonder what specific things have come out of On the Table that people can see.
Right.
You know, because it's easy to get a bunch of people around the table
right.
and talk about issues.
Right.
But if they just talk and nothing happens, it's just talk.
Right.
So what specifically has happened as a result of On the Table discussions that have improved neighborhoods around the city?
Right. And I will just follow up on your remarks to Elias's question in that small businesses are a very important part of keeping our community strong and healthy. And so really encourage the small businesses to have an On the Table discussion this Thursday so they can sign up to be hosts themselves. And many have. Many small business associations around the city have signed up.
But I think a lot of Elias's complaint was that in neighborhoods, in African American neighborhoods, Latino neighborhoods, the thought of this stop and go beer facility not being a community asset but a community hindrance. Right. So I wanted to make sure that Elias got that information on how he could report those things because it's not like the city makes a cut.
Right, right.
They don't cut a deal and say, you know, we keep you open, we get some kind of stuff. That's usually not the payback that the city government does. It's got a multi-billion-dollar budget. It's not going to be really benefiting from a local beer and deli store giving it a cut of the profits, as some people would think.
So to your point in terms of what's the impact, we see that the conversation itself is extremely important to really pause and think about and engage. So we are this year, as we did last year, offering activation grants to participants. So what you will see is not just the conversation, but then follow up on the idea. So if you were a small business and you wanted to have an idea to improve, you know, the cleanup along the corridor where you are, you can actually work together and come up with a plan and apply for an activation grant.
How much will the activation grants be this year?
This year they will do $50,000 total, and we will award up to $51,000 grants. Last year we awarded 43,000 grants, so we're increasing that budget because we saw a great response to those. And again, the issues that people apply for are ideas that they have been formulating or that they came up with brand new right in that either, as you said, breakfast, lunch, dinner, smoothies in the afternoon, wherever you're having that conversation. Immediately following it on Friday, you'll be able to apply very simply with a one-page proposal on the PhiladelphiaFoundation.org On the Table website.
And that'll be the Friday after the
day
On the Table.
after,
So it'll be starting on Friday, October the 18th, people will be able to apply. I guess you'll take the applications for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and then make a decision shortly thereafter?
We'll take the applications up to the point that we have expended our funds. So it's really a first come, first serve. The criteria being heavily weighted towards civic engagement. That's very important. And another interesting criteria that we've added this year that we're giving additional recognition towards is discussing the census. As you're well aware, the census is in 2020. So we want to get the word out. We're collaborating with the City of Philadelphia on that and encouraging people in their host kits to, regardless of what their conversation is, to be aware and make sure that everyone that participates on the table is aware and participates in the census.
Will there be an on the table specifically about the census?
There are several tables that are specifically talking about the census.
Okay. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we had the census folks on last week here on The Political Source. And every 10 years, it's mandated in the Constitution, the U.S. government has to count the number of citizens here in the United States. Undercounting kills the city because you get less federal funds. So it's important that you make sure that you get counted for the census. Now, another tip that people need to know is that you don't have to be a legal U.S. citizen. You can be an immigrant and get counted in the census, right? You don't have to, I know that there's a lot of folks that might listen who are like, well, I'm illegal, I don't have my green card, or I'm not, I don't have my papers, I better not answer the door for a census taker. You're allowed to be counted under the census. That information legally cannot be used against you. It can't be revealed for like 70 years at all. So I just want people to understand it's critically important that when the census happens, you fill out the forms so that Philadelphia gets as many people counted as possible, which helps us get federal funding for programs that the city needs over the next 10 years. Undercounts kill cities. Undercounts kill us when it comes to funding for events. As you know, last week, one of the folks from the Census Department came on and said, from Philadelphia's counts, said that every person that's not counted, that's $2,100 a year in federal funding that we do not get. $2,100 a year. So if we undercount by 600,000 people, that's 600,000 times $2,100 a year that we're missing in federal funds for the city. Those are things that could help fix roads, fix bridges, help with Medicare, Medicaid in the city. So it's critically important. Kayla, do I need to take a break right now? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. I know I have some callers on the line. We're going to get to you, and we're going to finish our final discussions about On the Table. You're listening to The Political Source here on Word Radio.
The following alert is from AARP Pennsylvania. Attention listeners, con artists posing as Federal Trade Commission workers are calling people about the Do Not Call registry. They may ask you to enroll, confirm, or renew your phone number on the registry. They're collecting personal information such as your social security number, which the real registry does not require, so they can access your bank account. Learn more about AARP and what they're doing to protect consumers right here in Philadelphia. Visit aarp.org/Philadelphia.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Enterprise Exterminators provides customers with the highest quality service. Enterprise will evaluate and eliminate whatever pest problems you may have, specializing in bed bugs, fleas, mice, and termites. Hurry down to 4943 Wayne Avenue or call 215-849-7070. Enterprise services Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey and is licensed and insured. Free inspection and do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now and ask about their Word discount. 215-849-7070.
Word family, this is Sarah Lomax Reese, President and CEO of Word Radio. Join me on Friday, November 1st from 5:30 to 7 p.m. for the next installment of the Walter P. Lomax Jr. MD Speaker Series, Struggle and Progress, a conversation on Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. I'm excited to interview two of the leading scholars on Douglass and Tubman, Dr. C. James Trotman, founding director of the Frederick Douglass Institute, and Dr. Erica Armstrong Dunbar, author of She Came to Slay, The Life and Times of Harriet Tubman. This powerful discussion will be held at the Barnes Foundation as part of their First Friday festivities and will precede the premiere of Ruth Naomi Floyd's Frederick Douglass Jazz Works, a suite of music created to honor the legacy of the famed activist and abolitionist. You do not want to miss this amazing event, which happens to fall on the same day as the release of the new Harriet Tubman movie. Space is limited. For ticket information, go to wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875.
In partnership with the Barnes Foundation, sponsored by Pico and Comcast NBC 10.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. Word TV. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to the Political Source here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. I'm your host, Vincent Thompson. We're joined by Diane Melly. She is the Executive Director of Second Century Initiatives for the Philadelphia Foundation. We have been talking about On the Table Philly, which is going to happen on Thursday, October the 17th, throughout the 7-county region. When I talk about the county, I'm talking about Philly and the suburban Philadelphia counties, and also South Jersey, Burlington, and Camden. So those are the 7 counties that make up On the Table. There'll be 500 tables throughout the region, more than 5,000 people, talking about events and issues that impact Philadelphia and the region and what can be done to make things better. We had lost Elias due to he got disconnected. Elias is back. Elias, thanks for being on the Political Source. Again, you had a follow-up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. The reason why I call back is very critical, and you did answer my question regarding what's the involvement that the city has as far as anything economically and profiting from these small businesses. So this makes matters worse than if the city is not making any profit from.
Well, but the city makes okay. Hold on, Elias.
Okay.
The city makes taxes, right? From every business, they pay a tax. So you pay so they pay wage taxes, they pay a business tax. Hold on, I'm going to tell you. And also, when you go into the store and buy something, you pay a sales tax. So those are the taxes that the city and the state makes out of a beer deli, Stop and Go.
Okay. Now that you told me that, now it makes it even worse. So I'm falling on the deaf ears with city council. I've sent emails regarding. I'm 52 years old. Many years ago, I'll say 40 years ago, grocery stores in our community was an asset regarding, convenience for food items, blah, blah, blah. Anything that's essential for us in our communities, correct? Now, the last 40 years that I've seen, because of our property values has gone down in our community, these businesses come into our community for the past 40-something years and has been selling things that perpetuate the drug epidemic for years in our community, right? You don't see these type of stores opening up in our communities and other communities, beautiful, well-put neighborhoods, okay? It's only infested in our neighborhood. I say that these businesses are to me, I don't buy in these stores because they are suspects to me in regards to perpetuating the drug epidemic because they know what sells in our community. People want to drink, people want to smoke all these different type of tobacco flavors, cigarettes, they sell paraphernalias and everything, and I've addressed this to the city council a couple months ago, and in July. I have not gotten no answer from them. And there's 2. I've been doing an assessment, me personally, of all these stores, walking in these stores, and I found 2 stores in North Philadelphia, in Howard and Dauphin, which I'm not going to mention the city council member, which I brought that up to her attention, that she's a owner to a home there, okay? And in those 2 stores in her block do not sell those drug paraphernalias or these cigarette wrappers. Are you there?
I'm here. Okay. Elias, I allow people to talk. This is your show, my friend. But here's what I want to ask.
Yes.
You sent this information to these council members over the summer. Have you followed up with these council members to find out why they haven't done anything?
I'm off Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I've been doing it from July, August, okay? And the only one who responds to me is Mr. Green.
Okay, Derek Green, he's the city council at large, right?
Responded to me, but he still has not brought that up and responded to my emails. Now I'm going to make it. I'm giving them a space because there's so much information, city council. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, Elias, here's what I'm going to do. Since I see him every week.
I want to make this national because it's not only happening in Philadelphia.
No, Elias.
This is worldwide.
Elias, I get it. But let me be pretty narrow and try to fix the things that I can fix in the 215 area code, right? Okay. Before I try to while I try to deal with this issue throughout the world. So how about if I do this? Let me give you my email address here at the radio station. It's vthompson, VTHOMPSON, at Word. Okay, here's what we'll do.
Oh, here, I got.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do, Elias. I'm going to put you on hold. Okay, I'm going to take your phone number. I'm going to call you. Okay, I'll give you my email. You'll send me an email with who you've made the comments to, and I will personally follow up with those council members myself to have them get back to you. Okay? All right, so why don't I do this? Elias, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have our engineer take your phone number. I'll call you after the show. You can send me an email with the council members that you've reached out to, and I'll personally follow up with them to see how they're moving on this issue, because I try to help people get their problem solved. We've got just a few more minutes before the top of the hour, and I want to give Diane Melly the chance to address some of the final questions about On the Table. If people want more information about On the Table, how they get involved in a table, where can they go? How can they sign up?
Great question. So with it coming up so shortly, it is not too late to sign up to host a table. Okay. And you can go to philafound.org/on-the-table to our website, and you will see right there on the homepage the opportunity to host a table. There is also the opportunity to join public tables. Mm-hmm. As you said, there are hundreds of hosts who have already signed up. We'd love to have more across all the spectrum of issues, but there are several hosts who are opening and hosting tables. A couple that are noteworthy: Eastern State Penitentiary has some open tables which are fascinating, discussing criminal justice. We have open tables from the Urban Affairs Coalition. We have open tables from many of the arts organizations. So you can take a look on the philafound.org/on-the-table, sign up to host, or if you'd like to join an open table, you can email us at onthetable@philafound.org.
Okay. So let's give you that website again. It's www.philafound, that's PHILAFOUND/ONTHE table, TABLE. That's all one word.
Correct.
But if you go to philafound.org, you'll be able to find all the information on the table. They still have public tables available, and you can also send an email if you have a question to onthetable@philafound.org. But I always tell people the best way to find out about this event is go to philafound.org. It has all the information there, and you can sign up, participate in the table. Again, there are tables that go on all day, October the 17th. So, if you have to go to work, right? There could be a table at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. If there's a table at lunch and you can get to it between your lunch hour, go to that. I'm not telling you to take a day off of work to go to On the Table, but there's enough tables to go around, enough events that are happening. Diane Melly, Executive Director of the Second Century Initiative for the Philadelphia Foundation. Thanks for being with us here on The Political Sword.
Thank you so much, and look forward to seing you on Thursday at one of the tables.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll definitely be there. Great. So I'll be at City Council in the morning, and I'll be at a table in the afternoon. So I'm looking forward to sitting in on a table, not moderating a table. And it's going to be fun.
That's great.
It's always a fun event. So, Diane, thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. What we're going to do is we're going to take a commercial break right now. And when we come back at the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to talk about President Donald Trump, some of the issues that he is facing toward a re-election next year, also the issues that he's facing with as president of the United States right now with Syria and the Kurds. And also tomorrow in Ohio is the 4th Democratic presidential debate. We're going to talk to a political science professor, a professor of history, about all the issues that are happening with President Trump and what's going to happen with the Democratic debate tomorrow. You're listening to The Political Source here on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
My name is Shirley Turner. I was born, raised Philadelphia, 68 years. I learned about Dedicated through my insurance carrier. This office of Dedicated was much closer to me. I liked the idea of being able to set the appointment and they would send someone to get me and bring me back, which was a big plus because where I was going, you get there on your own. The staff at Dedicated, they've been very kind to me. Tashiana, when I come in, even if I call her on the phone, "Hi, Miss Turner," she knows my name, knows my voice. It makes you feel better because in all the 30-something years I went to the other, that receptionist still don't know me. And little things like that matter.
Experience the Dedicated difference. Call for a free tour. 267-443-1900. Dedicated Senior Medical Centers. 267-443-1900.
Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring production, packaging, and sanitation employees right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days of employment. They're also hiring part-time and seasonal employees. Entry-level candidates are encouraged to apply. Call Scott Drummond at 856-754-0360 or visit amorosos.com for details. Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
Welcome back to the second hour of the Political Source Show here on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. That was Grover Washington with Mr. Magic. We always like to play a Philadelphian at least once during the Political Source Show. I want to thank WURD listener Barbara Akins for suggesting that song to us. Again, as I say, if you have an instrumental that you'd like us to play and you think it'd be good, just send it to me here at WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. My email address is vthompson@wordradio.com, and we will consider playing it on a future show here on the Political Source. Again, if you want to join in on the conversation, you can give us a call at 215-634-8065 or 1-866-361-0900. If you have a pen and you still want to get involved in the On the Table discussions that's going to happen on October the 17th, go to Phila, Phila, found, FOUND.org. There you can find out all the information about On the Table, where to register for some open On the Tables that are still available. And if you continue to listen to me this week, go to my Facebook and my Twitter page, which is MediaManCom. I will be participating in one of the On the Tables event. So if you want to come and meet me at a On the Table event in the community, come on out. We'll give you more information. We're still finalizing which table I'm going to be at. So stay tuned to my social media, and I'll tell you all that information. Again, my Twitter is MediaManCom. That's MediaManComm. We'll also post it on probably the station's Twitter address as well. So stay tuned to the station's social media as well, and you can find out where I will be on Thursday after Philadelphia City Council. You're listening to The Political Source here on WURD Radio. I'm your host, Vincent Thompson, principal at Thompson Media Man Communications here in Philadelphia. The fourth debate for the Democrats running for the 2020 presidential nomination will take place tomorrow, Tuesday, October the 15th at Otterbein University in Westerville, Ohio, which is just outside Columbus, the state's capital city. 12 candidates will appear on stage together, which the New York Times reports makes the debate the largest presidential primary debate in recorded American political history. The candidates that will be on stage are Vice President Joe Biden, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, Massachusetts U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, Vermont U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, California U.S. Senator Kamala Harris, former HUD Secretary Julian Castro, Minnesota U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar, former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, and entrepreneur Andrew Yang. They'll be joined by two candidates who hadn't quite made the cut for the previous debates. They are Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard and billionaire executive Tom Steyer, who will make his Democratic National Committee-sanctioned presidential primary debate debut. Now, joining me right now to discuss the Democratic presidential debates and the status of the presidential campaign so far is Dr. Anthony DeStefanis, Associate Professor of History at Otterbein University, the location of the next Democratic debate. Dr. DeStefanis, thank you very much for being with us here on The Political Source.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Now, Dr. DeStefanis, he specializes in modern U.S. history with an emphasis on labor and the working class and immigration, race, and ethnicity. Let's ask Dr. DeStefanis, in your mind, what is the status of the Democratic race for president so far? Who's the front runners, and who are the people who should not be counted out from winning the nomination?
Well, listen, I think in looking at this, just looking at what the polls say, polls are, there's national polls, and then there are the polls in the states that are going to hold the first primaries, and caucuses, so Iowa, and New Hampshire, and South Carolina. And the national polls, I think it's clear that Elizabeth Warren is catching up or has caught up with Joe Biden, and they seem to be running neck and neck nationally. When you look at the state polls and looking at Iowa and I think South Carolina in particular, that Biden still holds a pretty substantial lead in South Carolina, and I think that has to do with the fact that Elizabeth Warren has had some difficulty breaking through with black voters, and that black voters are still, and black voters make up a large part of the Democratic electorate, Democratic primary voters in South Carolina, that they have remained with Joe Biden to this point.
So, but I know that in South Carolina, for example, African Americans make up 25% of the voters in South Carolina. So do you think Joe Biden is benefiting in South Carolina from Obama's coattails, President Obama's coattails?
I mean, I think that has much, what you just described has much to do with why African American voters are in South Carolina. But, of these early states, as you said, it has by far the largest African American population. New Hampshire and Iowa are pretty white states. But yeah, Biden is benefiting from being vice president for 8 years under Obama, and and I think that it's accurate. Not just African American voters, but the Democrats more broadly, saw a good working relationship between Biden and President Obama, and that has much to do with why they're supporting Biden.
Dr. Stefanis, I want to make sure that you get as close to the phone as you can. We seem to be having a little bit of a breakup. We don't want to have your interesting analysis interrupted by a phone line that's breaking up. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, we're speaking to Dr. Anthony Stefanis. He's Associate Professor of History at Otterbein University, which is the location of the next Democratic debate, which is tomorrow, the 15th of October. 12 Democrats are going to be on the same stage at the same time debating. Who are some of the candidates that should not be counted out as we get are getting closer to, I guess, the first primaries in February? I think, obviously we know that Joe Biden, if you had to take a poll right now, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders are considered the front runners. But then everybody else kind of trails. But in your mind, who are some of those people that could come up and eventually take over the nomination? Because I tell people on this show all the time, there was a guy a long time ago named Barack Obama who nobody ever heard of. Nobody ever thought he would win, and then he won the Iowa caucuses and became the president. So who are some of those dark horses that you see that people shouldn't count out?
Yeah, I think that what you're pointing to is it's really important because no voting is going to happen for several more months. And when you have a debate with 12 people on the stage, and even though it's going to be, I believe, 3 hours long, what people can take away from a debate that has that many people participating in it, I think, is limited. But you're right to point out Obama, and if you looked at, say, John Kerry back in 2004, at this point in that race back in 2004, John Kerry was way behind, and there wasn't anybody saying in October of 2003 that John Kerry was going to be the Democratic nominee for president, and well, that's exactly what ended up happening. I think that if look at Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, and it doesn't seem that they have, at least to this point, that they've had the capacity to break through with African American voters in South Carolina. But that doesn't mean that won't happen. And as well, I mean, Warren hasn't shown that capacity either. That when people, as impeachment continues and that process continues, and whatever it is that Joe Biden's son did with his relationship with a gas company in Ukraine, personally, I don't think that it's fair to criticize Biden for something that his son did. But I think that as this impeachment process moves forward and that gets ingrained in people's minds further, that they're going to start making some strategic decisions about who they think has the best chance of beating Donald Trump. And they might conclude, it's very likely that they'll conclude, I think that Biden is not the person to do that. So then if in South Carolina, for instance, black voters make that determination, then who do they go to? And I think that it makes some sense to believe that if Booker and Kamala Harris put the time into it, that they can draw African-American voters in South Carolina. I think as well that in Iowa is a caucus, and so the dynamic there is different. It's not a primary. And caucuses, and this is how Obama won Iowa in 2008, that he had a great organization on the ground, and he got in Iowa, and he got people in Iowa out there to caucus for him. That's how he won. He had a better organization than Hillary Clinton did. So who has the best sort of like ground organization in Iowa that they could bring people out in that caucus, which happens in the dead of winter in Iowa, to caucus for them and to stay at a caucus that often goes on for hours and hours and hours and hours. So who has the ground organization to get people out there to caucus for them in Iowa, I think will tell us quite a bit.
That's why I tell people all the time, what happens in October of 2019 is a long way from what's going to happen in February of 2020. And ladies and gentlemen, that's when the first votes take place for president. That's when you have the Iowa caucuses, and then you have the New Hampshire primary, correct? And then I think in either late February, early March is when we start getting into South Carolina. Correct, Professor? Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got a long way to go before deciding who's going to be the Democratic nominee for president. And I also want to remind people that just 4 years ago, there were about a dozen, 12, 13, 14 people that were running for the Republican nomination as well. And Donald Trump defeated them all. So having multiple candidates running for president doesn't mean that somebody won't become president. If you had told somebody 4 years ago Donald Trump would become the president of the United States and that he would have defeated 12, 13, 14 candidates in the Republican primary, people would have thought you were crazy, but he did. So a lot has to happen between now and February. So don't wrap up the race for president on the Democratic side in October. Professor, let me ask, you spoke about Kamala Harris and Senator Booker. We do have 3 African Americans in the race for president: Senator Booker, Kamala Harris, and the mayor of Miramar, Florida. His name is Wayne Messam. We also have 1 Latino and Secretary Julian Castro, and Tulsi Gabbard, the congresswoman in Hawaii. She is of Asian, Polynesian, and Caucasian descent. As of this point, why do you not think Booker, Harris, Castro, and Gabbard haven't caught on with Democratic voters yet? Let's address each one. Let's start with Booker first and then go with Harris.
I think that with Cory Booker, first of all, it is such a large field, and I think this applies to all of them. That it is such a large field that trying to carve out your place in such a massive field is just a very difficult thing to do. Cory Booker, and I think this applies to Kamala Harris too, don't have the same name recognition that Bernie Sanders, because he ran in 2016 and really gave Hillary Clinton a run for the primary, and Elizabeth Warren, because she's a more high-profile senator than Booker and Kamala Harris. That people just know her if they pay any attention whatsoever to politics, because she's been out there in a number of ways. I think that there's a way in which too, that in terms of name recognition, that something perhaps negative has benefited Warren, and that is the whole sort of dust up that she had with Trump over her Cherokee ancestry. So that was a story that was in the regular sort of mainstream media, but also all over social media, and so that gave Harris, that gave Elizabeth Warren some more name recognition, and it got her into a fight with Trump, who obviously is not very popular among Democratic voters, and perhaps brought her some sympathy. As problematic as that whole thing was, it heightened her name recognition. Tulsi Gabbard, we could go to her next, Congresswoman who is a veteran as well, from Hawaii, and who I think in the debates that she has been in has done. She did a really good job. She did a really good job of taking on Kamala Harris over Harris's record as a prosecutor in California. Why exactly that hasn't resulted in people paying more attention to her or a rise in the polls for her? I think this comes back to, at least one of the reasons, it comes back to the fact that she's running in such a large pool of people, and who then have, if Booker and Harris suffer from having less name recognition going in, then Tulsi Gabbard has even more of that same problem.
And let's finalize Julian Castro. Why do you think he hasn't caught on with voters. I mean, I hear people thinking that he's going to be a better vice presidential candidate. I was seeing a spoof on Saturday Night Live this weekend where he was pretending to be, the character pretending to be him was talking, and then he said, "I'm looking forward to being vice president." Well, no, hold on, president. So why has he not caught on, do you think? And let me ask, do you think, why has he not caught on? And do you think some of this has to do with race? That, you know, Obama was a one-time kind of candidate, and there might be some people in America that don't want a woman to be president, that don't want a Latino to be president. Do you think that that might be playing a role, even in the Democratic primary?
Well, I think to start that race is always an issue in America, no matter what we're talking about, in American politics and in American culture. Obama, you're right about Obama and being this unique figure. And I mean, the other things that I would point to then are with all of these folks, to the extent that they have the kind of charismatic appeal that Barack Obama did. None of them ever had the moment, and have not yet had the moment, that Obama had back in 2004 when he gave kind of a keynote address at the Democratic National Convention that year. That brought him a massive amount of national attention because he gave an incredibly eloquent and inspiring speech. I haven't yet seen that any of these other candidates have had the opportunity to have that kind of moment that brings them the kind of attention and positive attention that Obama got from that speech in 2004. But again, I don't at all want to disqualify or to push aside the importance of race in how people make up their minds about who they see as legitimate contenders and who they would be willing to vote for. Julian Castro, I think, has a very interesting story. I don't know how good he is as well at telling it, at presenting himself to the Democratic electorate in a way that is inspiring and would bring him the kind of support that Obama was able to muster, really starting in 2004, 4 years before he actually ran for president.
We're speaking to Dr. Anthony DeStefanis. He's an associate professor of history at Otterbein University. That's going to be the location of the next Democratic debate, which is going to be tomorrow. We're giving you a preview of the debate. Dr. Stefanis, if you could stick around for our next break, we got a few more questions to ask you. And we're also going to open it up to the phone lines as well. If you'd like to give us your opinion, Delaware Valley, give us a call, 215-634-8065 or 1-866-361-0900. You're listening to The Political Source here on WURD Radio.
Get your money straight. Get my money right. With Solomon Jones and Akbar Hassan. Fridays on Wake Up with WURD. 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Exclusively on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and on the WURD Radio app.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Is it time to consider a nursing home for someone? Nursing home journeys are not easy. Talk with your family and the person who will be the patient. Be open for ideas and ready for a few tears or pushbacks. Check with health professionals and nursing home facilities. Gather your team who can be visitors for the new resident. Stay prayerful. You've come this far by faith, so keep the faith and go forward.
WURDRadio.com.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Andrea Delzell, and I've been using a wheelchair since I was 5 years old. If I had one message for the general public, it would be relax. Some folks get really flustered around disabled people, so they just pretend we're not there. I've actually had waiters talk to my companion and completely ignore me. People with disabilities just want the same respect and consideration as everyone else.
This is a message from United Spinal Association. Download our disability etiquette booklet at unitedspinal.org.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Political Source here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. I'm joined by Dr. Anthony DeStefanis. He's Associate Professor of History at Otterbein University. The location of the next Democratic debate, which is tomorrow. 12 of the Democrats are going to be on the stage. Dr. DeStefanis, let me ask. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton, Democratic nominee for president against Donald Trump. Possibly the first time in history that a woman had a legitimate shot of being the next president of the United States. Election comes, and according to articles and exit polls, 53% of white women voted for Hillary Clinton. Right? They voted for Donald Trump, not for Hillary Clinton. It broke down this way. 94% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton. 68% of Hispanic and Latino voters chose Hillary Clinton. But it even broke down for Hillary Clinton among women, white women. If you were college educated, you voted for Hillary Clinton. If you didn't have a college education, you voted for Mr. Trump. My question to you is this. Do you think that America is ready to elect a female president?
Okay, can I start by saying that my last name is pronounced DeStefanis?
DeStefanis. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Or in Italian, DeStefanis. Either one of them
Okay.
works. It's a difficult name, I know.
That's okay. That's okay. We don't like to get it wrong.
All right. So your question is?
Professor DeStefanis. That's why I want to make sure that we get it correct. Knowing America the way that knowing America, do you think that America is ready to elect a female president of the United States? And if there are not, does that make it harder for Kamala Harris and Tulsi Gabbard and other female candidates in this race to win the presidency?
I think that this is always an issue for people. I think that the 2016 race had a particular dynamic to it in that the woman who was running was Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton came with a lot of baggage from being Bill Clinton's first lady. And then the Republicans also, that they made a month-long investigation, and I'll put investigation in quotation marks here, over the terrorist attack that happened in Benghazi, and trying to associate malfeasance of her State Department with that attack in ways that were unfair and frankly ridiculous. But Hillary Clinton is a perhaps singular figure in recent American politics. Is the United States ready to elect a woman president? I think yes. What I think happened in 2016 is that there were so many issues with her that the Trump campaign, the Republican Party more generally, the entire right-wing news apparatus that's out there, from talk radio to Fox News, et cetera, were able to paint her with and criticize her with and sort of bring her down with. Somebody like Kamala Harris and, say, Elizabeth Warren or Tulsi Gabbard, they haven't had nearly as much time, right, in American politics, and they don't have the same kind of history that Hillary Clinton had. Like, none of them was first lady, and none of these current candidates were first lady to Bill Clinton, who, of course, we could spend a lot of time just talking about his problems, So is the country ready to elect a woman? Yeah, I think so. And if things stay the way that they are right now, it seems that Elizabeth Warren in particular has a very good chance of being the party's nominee. And then the question becomes, in a general election, do you want to elect this person or do you want to stick with Donald Trump?
I see where that's going. Yeah. Let me ask you about the candidates that aren't on the stage tomorrow. You've got author Marianne Williamson. These are the candidates that are not on the stage, ladies and gentlemen. Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, Montana Governor Steve Bullock, former Maryland Representative John Delaney, the Miramar, Florida Mayor Wayne Messam, Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan, and former Pennsylvania Congressman Joe Sestak. Since they're not on the stage, do you really expect that these 7 candidates have any chance of winning the nomination? Are we starting to see kind of a separation as far as the A team and the B, C, and D team in this race?
I mean, the simple answer to your question about the people who you just named is no. I don't think that they have any chance of becoming the nominee. For certain of them, like Tim Ryan and John Delaney, I have to say I'm not even sure why they decided to run in the first place. In Ohio, I think that the person who made much more sense to run in this primary was Sherrod Brown, the Democratic senator from Ohio, and he decided not to. Sherrod Brown, I think, would have made a lot of sense in that he is he's been able to win 2 terms in the Senate in a state that is, well, deep purple, and in the last couple of elections has sort of trended more toward Republicans. But he is one of the only people in Ohio, the only Democrat, one of the only Democrats in Ohio who holds statewide office. And he has, because he has made issues of the working class central to how he presents himself, what he's interested in, and what he works on as a senator, he's been able to draw independent voters and some Republicans, which explains how he was able to win, 2 terms in the U.S. Senate, where he still currently sits. I think that Sherrod Brown actually it's clear he's not going to run. I think that Sherrod Brown makes a lot of sense as for whomever gets the nomination. That Sherrod Brown makes a lot of sense as their vice presidential running mate.
Why do you say that? Because he's from Ohio? Because he's been... I'm just wondering why, because a lot of people are not thinking about him, well, I guess citizens, even those of us who cover politics, aren't thinking of him as a VP. Why do you think he would make sense for whomever the nominee is, whether it's a woman, Vice President Biden, Bernie Sanders, whomever? Why would he make a good VP, you think?
For 2 reasons. First, what I just described about his appeal to working class voters, and frankly, to the white working class. When you look at the electoral map and what states are going to really be in play in the 2020 election, we're talking about Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Those are all states that Trump won in 2016. And if the Democrats have any chance of winning this election in 2020, then they're going to have to be able to take 2 to 3 of those states back from Donald Trump. That you have an electorate in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania in particular, that where there are a large number of white working class voters, that Sherrod Brown can make the case to them in the way that he has for himself as a U.S. Senator from Ohio. The second thing has to do with gender and cultural politics. That if the nominee is if the presidential nominee is a woman, Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren, then put a white guy right on the ticket with you. This is exactly what Hillary Clinton did in 2016 by picking Tim Kaine. Right, she's a woman, and so she picked a white guy as her running mate to be able to at least implicitly say, well, this is the person who would take my place. I think the same dynamic, and I think this is unfortunate, but it is a reality that if the nominee were Booker or were Kamala Harris, that as African American candidates for president, that they put on the ticket with them a white man who is from the Midwest and has the potential to appeal to voters who might not look at Booker or Kamala Harris, but that Sherrod Brown can make the case to those voters.
Wow. So no, even when you're picking for the president of the United States, race matters, right? It always plays a part, right? Isn't that true, Doctor? Mm-hmm. So again, we're speaking to Dr. Anthony DeStefanis, Associate Professor of History at Irvine University. We're talking about tomorrow's Democratic presidential debate. You're listening to The Political Source here on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Doctor, what do you think is going to be the main issue discussed at tomorrow's debate? I imagine it's going to be the impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump.
Yes, I mean, I think you're absolutely right about that. I believe that everybody who is going to be on that stage has said in one way or another that they support the impeachment inquiry. Biden recently came out and said more explicitly that he favored the impeachment inquiry that's moving forward in the House. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, impeachment is going to be one of the topics. I think from there that these candidates need to, I think, more clearly articulate what they want to do with health insurance. And I think that part of what has happened in a dynamic of the last several debates is that none of the people who have been on the stage in the previous debates, that they haven't been willing to sort of criticize one another about what their healthcare plans are. So Bernie Sanders, who we haven't actually talked about at all, but Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are the most clear in their support of Medicare for all. Biden has a plan that basically expands the current Affordable Care Act and would perhaps add a public option to it. Beto O'Rourke supports something similar to what I just described from Biden. Those are two pretty different ways of going about solving the healthcare crisis in this country. Kamala Harris has bounced around a bit as to what she actually supports. But so far in the debates, what I've seen is that the candidates who have been on the stage have been reticent to really take one another on in this when it comes to this particular issue. And I think at some point they're going to have to do that. And I would say then at the same time, I don't know that a debate that has 12 people in it is going to promote that kind of back and forth and give and take on this issue or any other ones.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those kind of debates that's made for one-liners, so that you can kind of have your talking point and your zinger, so that you can be picked up on the news, that kind of thing. It's not. You're right. It's not the It's not the Nixon Kennedy debate in 1960. Professor, we're going to go to the phone lines right now. We have Okang calling us. Okang, you're on the Political Source.
Yes, greetings, Hotep. Yeah, many blessings of peace. Yeah, I want to ask the professor a question about number 45.
Go ahead, he's listening.
Oh, okay. Now, Professor, Doctor, shouldn't there have been some type of inquiry towards number 45 because he had a relationship with this call girl?
Okay, Dr. DeStefanis, I'm not sure if you heard what Okang said, but he was wondering if...
I heard just the end of it.
Go ahead.
I heard just the end of what
Okay,
he said.
well, basically what... Okang, go ahead and ask the question again so that the professor can hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, he can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Should there have been some type of inquiry or maybe an impeachment, question? Because the number 45 had a relationship with a call girl while in office.
Well, first of all, let's say this. The president has not had a relationship with a call girl while in office. I believe what you're talking about is his relationship with Stormy Daniels, the porn actress, stripper.
Right. She's not a call girl?
No, she's not, sir. She is not that, and he did not have it while in office. So let's ask that. Professor, was it possible to do an impeachment because of that, or is the impeachment over the right thing by the Democrats because it's something that happened while he was in office? The other stuff happened while he was a private citizen.
Yeah, to address the first part of it, what Michael Cohen, who was sort of a fixer in the Trump organization, what he told Congress was that he paid, her name is Stormy Daniels, right? That he, I believe it was $130,000 that he paid her in the sort of weeks leading up to the 2016 election, and that $130,000 was to buy her silence about the affair that she alleges she had with Trump. It was sometime in the past. I can't recall exactly when, but that Trump was willing to pay her $130,000 to buy her silence, I think is damning. Now, is that an impeachable offense? I think that it's something that he did before he was president, and so impeachment only applies to actions that rise to, as the Constitution puts it, high crimes and misdemeanors while you're in office. So I wouldn't say that particular payment and to buy somebody's silence is something that is impeachable because, again, it happened before he was in office. Now, there's a separate issue with that, however, was that a crime, right? Now, what the rules that the Justice Department works under say that and this was an issue with the Mueller probe into Russian interference in the 2016 election. The Department of Justice guidelines say that a president cannot be indicted for a crime while he is in office. That does not mean, however, that Donald Trump could not be charged. Perhaps where it would go is a violation of campaign finance laws, because it seems that the $130,000 that the Trump organization used to pay off Stormy Daniels came out of his campaign donations, right, out of his campaign war chest. But that's something that, again, he would have to deal with once he's out of office. And it's not, again, it's not impeachable because it's something that happened before he was president.
Right. Doctor, can you stick around for our final segment? Now my calls want to ask you a bunch of questions and also want to get your idea about impeachment, whether Donald Trump will actually be impeached, if there will be a vote in the U.S. House of Representatives to impeach him, and if that does happen, what will happen in the U.S. Senate. We're speaking to Dr. Anthony DeStefanis. He's Associate Professor of History at Otterbein University, the location of the next Democratic debate, which is tomorrow. We are taking your calls, 215-634-8065 or 1-866-361-0900. You're listening to The Political Source. I'm your host, Vincent Thompson.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWord.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media. Word Show on the go.
Tell us where you'd like to see the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, bring the Word Show on the Go team next. Visit wordradio.com. Click the Word Show on the Go banner and let us know about your community event, big news in your community, or an issue you'd like to see addressed. You can also catch up on the latest episode of Word Show on the Go or binge watch previous episodes. It's Word Show on the Go with the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, exclusively on wordradio.com. Word Show on the Go is funded in part by the Facebook Journalism Project Community Network.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
We continue our conversation here on The Political Source, talking about tomorrow's presidential debate, Democratic presidential debate at Otterbein University with Dr. Anthony DeStefanis. He's the Associate Professor of History at Otterbein University. Doctor, looking at the impeachment issue that the House is dealing with right now. At last count, there's at least 225 members of the House who said they support the impeachment inquiry. All Democrats except one. All 19 Democratic presidential primary candidates have said they support the inquiry. Donald Trump is only the fourth president in U.S. history to face impeachment. The question now is, would those Democrats go from supporting impeachment inquiry to actually voting on articles of impeachment? Do you think Donald Trump will be impeached in the U.S. House? And if so, how quickly could that happen?
Well, if I had to make a prediction, and I'm hesitant to do this because this story is moving, and it's moving pretty quickly. But I do think that there is a very good chance that the House of Representatives will vote to impeach him. I mean, it's only a couple of weeks old, and it's grown beyond just the phone call between Trump and the president of Ukraine to the involvement of Rudy Giuliani, his two associates of Giuliani, who were just a few days ago arrested and charged with campaign finance violations in relation to trying to shape, it seems, Ukrainian policy toward the United States in a way that would help Trump in the 2020 election. So there's still much more to be understood and to be explored there. And at the same time that the Trump administration came out just a few days ago with this letter from the legal counsel in the White House, starkly stating that they are not going to cooperate with the impeachment investigation, with the impeachment inquiry. That letter is not at all based in any American law that relates to what the Constitution says about an impeachment inquiry. It's an assertion of rights that do not actually exist.
Well, isn't that just stonewalling? I mean, in some ways, it's just stonewalling. It's like in sports, you're playing out the clock. You're basically saying if you're going to, I think what the Trump administration is saying is, look, if you're going to impeach me, we're going to make you work on it. You're going to have to work to impeach me.
Yeah. I think it's clear that, and Adam Schiff and others have already said this, that that letter from the White House legal counsel and any stonewalling, as you put it, that the Trump administration engages in regarding impeachment is in itself and it creates the rationale for another article of impeachment, and that is obstruction of justice, right? Obstruction of the impeachment inquiry.
Well, you know what? I mean, this is just my thought, Professor, and this is Vincent's thought. I think the House Democrats are too far down the road not to write articles of impeachment, have a vote in committee, and hold a vote in the full House. I could see something happening as soon as January or February, right in 2020. And as you remember, then Congressman Gerald Ford, later president, said in 1970, basically an impeachable offense is whatever the majority of the House of Representatives considers it at that part of history. And I kind of think we're at that point now where Speaker Pelosi is saying, you know what, I think there's impeachable offenses, we're going to go. So I kind of think the Democrats have kind of crossed that line where if they didn't impeach him, I think people would be stunned. Do you kind of sense the same, that they've kind of crossed that 38th parallel and can't come back?
Yeah, I think that I don't know that I agree that they're already sort of too far down the road. What I do think, however, is that there is so much here regarding just the Ukraine, or just Ukraine, that rises to the level of an impeachable offense, that it's their constitutional duty to act in the ways that they have become to act, to act in the ways that they have started to act. Nancy Pelosi, for a long time, opposed any kind of move toward impeachment, and the phone call with Ukraine really changed her mind. So, I mean, are they, as you put it, like, you know, too far down the road to come back? I'm not sure if that's the question to ask. Maybe the question to ask is, does the president's behavior rise to the level of impeachable offenses, and then is the House of Representatives duty-bound to do something about those offenses?
True. Let's go to the phone lines, Professor. Let's go to Tony. Tony, thank you for holding. You're on the Political Source.
Yeah, good morning. You know, just as an independent looking at this thing, I mean, it just looks like a bunch of little children, because you know what? Politics is just about the liar you like, and that is really the bottom line. I mean, they're all liars. I mean, we just totally disregard the unethical behavior by Biden. We don't even consider it as possibly being bad, you know, on one side, and the other side is saying, oh, it's egregious. And, you know, one side doesn't even look at it. So, I mean, you know, all it is a game. You know, people on whatever side just says whatever they need to say to damage the other side. It's just a bunch of baby games, and it's really unfortunate that our political system has devolved into this just immature baby third-grade behavior by you know, supposedly adults on either side, and it's pretty disgusting. And you know, it seems like, you know, and I could be wrong, but I feel bad for the individuals that get taught by this professor, because I'm sure he's just you know, a political hack too. So it's just a sad situation.
Hold on, Tony. Let me ask you this. Hold on. I want you to hold on for a second. What do you feel should be the issues that are discussed? And secondly, you might, on this Political Source show, you may disagree with someone, but we don't take shots and names of people. Not on this show. You can disagree without being disagreeable. So I'm not going to call a gentleman who has a PhD and an associate professor of history a hack. Okay? So, Tony, let me ask, what do you want to see in our body politics that you're not seeing?
I want to see adult discourse and situations resolved. We talk about this white supremacy stuff. I don't see any lives, any less lives being killed in my community over, and white supremacists ain't the ones killing my people. So let's talk about solving issues and not just baby back and forth. Maybe we've been talking about impeachment since day one the guy got in office. I don't see anything getting resolved in my community. I see my schools still disgusting, and they can't go to school because they don't have heat and air conditioning. Let's talk about that instead of some baby games. Let's up the ante.
Tony, one last question to you. As we get close to 2020, I know some of my listeners might be wondering, and it's okay. Would you, if the election is held next year, would you be most likely to vote for Donald Trump for re-election or a Democrat?
I really can't see any Democrat that is worthy to lead. I mean, so you know what? I'm all for the America First, keeping it that way, and let's stay on track. Let's work for America, making this, getting us in a spot where everyone can prosper. The most people can prosper, and less countries are taking advantage of us. So I don't see any Democrat that is on that level. It's all about
Tony.
None of them that are worth it.
Tony, I do appreciate you calling into the Political Source. I appreciate your opinion. Doctor, I want to ask you, let me assume for a second, because WURD Radio is an African-American talk radio station, one of the few talk radio stations black talk radio stations in the country, that Tony might be an African-American. There were 8% of black voters who supported Trump in the 2016 presidential election. 88% voted for Clinton. What is the importance of the African-American vote in the upcoming election? And do you see that we could have a lot of black people who vote for Donald Trump in November?
And answering your second question, I think that's hard to imagine that you would have a substantial number of African Americans who would vote for Donald Trump for reasons that.
But 8% isn't a lot. But, it's a sizable number when, you know what I mean, when you're looking at the margins in a presidential election. Sure. I think when people heard that 8% of black people voted for Donald Trump in 2016, they were shocked. It wouldn't surprise me if that same percentage voted for him in 2020. Do you see that that's possible?
If you look at, say, a way of looking at the flip side of that, I don't know what the exact numbers are when it comes to white evangelical Christians. But I can't tell you what the numbers are, say, in the 2016 election off the top of my head, but the percentage of white evangelical Christians who voted for Trump is much, much, much greater than who voted for Hillary Clinton. That is not to say that some white evangelical Christians didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, but with both of these groups, if you're at 88 to 8%, right, when looking at the African American vote, I think that the Democratic Party they're happy with those numbers. They would at the same time like to increase them, because part of what did happen in 2016 is that not as many African American voters came out to vote in 2016 as did in 2008 and 2012 when Barack Obama was on the ballot. What the Democratic Party needs to do is to get as many African American voters out there to vote, and particularly in a state like Pennsylvania, because that will help them win Pennsylvania, as well as you've got a large black populations, particularly around Detroit and Michigan, and in Milwaukee, in Wisconsin. The same thing here in Columbus and in the Cleveland area and in Ohio. The Democratic Party needs to work hard to get black voters out there in 2020.
Let's go back to the phone lines, Professor. Prince is calling. Thank you for calling into the Political Source.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good.
Great. I think the last caller, without the name call, had some merit, because from Bill Clinton to Obama, the issues in Michigan with the water hadn't changed. The issues in Detroit hadn't changed. And I think the professor I would really love to speak to him the day after the re-election, because
The re-election of whom? Donald Trump?
The re-election of the president.
Okay.
Because you said the Republican president Donald Trump and who, and that's a clear indication that you do not have a person that's not just qualified, but that people trust. We didn't trust Hillary Clinton because she called us predators, she called us names, and we are Lord displaced by all these preachers who keep, and all these organizations who keep trying to throw a candidate up, regardless of their current status. You know, Kamala, you know, she put more African Americans in prison that died in the war. I mean, and and along with her representing herself as being one of us, you know, when you look at her track record on how she's incarcerated us and still went home and went to sleep and done the normal things and the normal progression of her life, you know, we from the ground running, we want to know what you're going to do about housing. We want to know what you're going to do about all these cranes that's in the ground. We want to know how you're going to help us get to a situation of independence and entrepreneurship, not just socialize us into doing what we've been doing. And I'll either hang up on this or I'll listen to.
Oh, no, Prince, I want to ask you a question, because we encourage all kinds of debate here on The Political Source, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether you're an independent. You sound like a Donald Trump supporter, and I guess my question, and a lot of our listeners would wonder, is knowing Donald Trump's past history before he became president, what would make an African-American gentleman or a woman support Donald Trump? What was it that made you support Donald, say in let me finish, in 2016, and what would make you support him in 2020? I'm just trying to figure out why. I'm not criticizing. I'm just trying to figure out why.
I get it, but I think that you start the narrative wrong. I'm a Tiger Woods Republican. I'm not so much a Donald Trump Republican. And if you knew Republicans across the spectrum, Charles Barkley's a Republican, Tiger Woods is a Republican. There's a lot of Republicans. I take I'm a Tiger Woods Republican. I respect Tiger Woods. He's been all over the world playing golf. He's dominated that game. He's both an exception in our race as a person, and so I'm more of a Tiger Woods. And so,
but what is a Tiger Woods? Let me ask you this: what is a Tiger Woods Republican in your mind?
A Tiger Woods Republican is someone who likes golf, someone who appreciates entrepreneurship, someone who would like to build businesses and stuff like that, someone who likes to be the best at what he does in competition. That means competing against white folks or anyone else. I want to be the best at what I do. So you set the narrative that are you a Tiger Woods Republican or are you a Donald Trump Republican?
No, Prince, what I was asking was, what was it in Donald Trump that would make an African... Hold on for a second. Hold on. What is it in Donald Trump that would make an African-American man vote for Donald? What was it about him in 2016 that you liked, and what is it in 2020 that will make you vote for him? That's all I'm asking.
2016, I like the entrepreneurship. I like the fact that when he was both Democrat before he became a Republican, he had supported and worked with both sides of the party. He gave money to Republicans. He's given money to Democrats. When he became a Republican, although I was one longer than he was, when he became a Republican, as we see now, gas prices are lower than it's ever been before. Around this time when Obama was in office, we were going close to $5 a gallon. He's put more money back in folks' income tax pocket, along with, and I want you to look at this right here, along with letting people out of prison that would have never gotten out of prison that are African-American, both female and male, that no one talks about. And then the tariff, aligning the Korean or the Chinese population up and aligning other folks up in order to give back the United States more money opposed to us buying oil or opposed to us buying goods. I mean, those things are relevant, you know, especially to the people in public housing, to the people with less resources. Shoot, we had the mayor of this city put a tax on us, a soda tax, and for those very poor people who can't travel, who use public transportation and can't get to buy their soda cheaper, it's now cheaper in this city to buy a 12-ounce bottle of beer than it is to buy a 12-ounce soda. And that's a democratic disposition that they put us in as African-American in a poor city. And I'll hang up and I'll listen.
Thank you, Prince. I do appreciate you calling. Professor, I know you have limited time. I do appreciate it. But I think Prince brings up something that's pretty interesting. and I've said this, one of the things that Donald Trump has done, and I covered the Republican convention back in 2016, is that he put all of his eggs in the basket of his voters. Like he said, listen, there are 60 million people that voted for me. I'm going to put my messaging on Twitter, Facebook, toward making sure that you come out for me 4 years later. I saw that you recently wrote an article about white power, white supremacy, and violence, how communication is key in perpetuating racial hatred in the United States. Does Donald Trump perpetuate that?
I think that's clear, that Donald Trump didn't pull the trigger in El Paso, but I think as Kamala Harris put it, he's giving the kind of people who carry out mass killings that are based in racial and ethnic hatred the ammunition to do so. Now, your last two callers might disagree with that, but I think that what I just said is based on an objective analysis of what he has been doing, long before he became president, starting with his promotion of the, nonsensical what to call it, right? The nonsensical argument that Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States and therefore was ineligible to be president. Going back to the Central Park 5 case, in which Donald Trump, took out full-page ads in New York newspapers calling for the execution of those five, the five individuals who were wrongly convicted of that crime and who were then exonerated and released from prison. And Donald Trump has never apologized for his participation in that case. Going back to the ways in which his father and Donald Trump himself practiced racial discrimination in who they would rent to in the apartments and buildings that they owned in New York City. This man has a long history of racial discrimination.
I'm going to let that be the last word. Dr. Anthony DeStefanis, Associate Professor of History at Otterbein University, the location of the next Democratic debate, which is tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll say this over and over again. There is still the possibility that President Trump can win a second term. There's still the mix there of people, and it's really important for people that might not want to see him win a second term to come out and vote. Doctor, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Go ahead.
Hey, could I say one more thing?
Oh, absolutely. No, the floor is yours.
Just quickly, in response to particularly those last two callers, that if you look at all of the Democrats who are going to be on the stage on Tuesday night, they do have plans to try to address many of the issues that those two gentlemen raised. That impeachment is part of our political conversation right now, has much to do with the actions of the man who is in the White House. The House of Representatives has decided that it cannot continue to not address the behavior of that person. But at the same time, those people are in office. They are in the House of Representatives. You have a bunch of candidates who are going to be on that stage on Tuesday night, some of them who are in elective office, some of whom are not. But they all are going to be talking about ways to address many of the problems that those last two callers raised. I think that much depends on their capacity and people like them to listen.
We'll let that be your final word. Doctor, I appreciate you taking the time being with us on The Political Source. Thank you for taking a little longer than I expected, but I thought it was a fascinating conversation.
No problem.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, bye-bye. Again, we're going to take a commercial break right now, and when we come back, we do have one more call on the line. We're going to take that quick call, and then we're going to get to our next guest. I know when people think of professional sports, they think of Philadelphia. But there is a new professional sports team that's going to be tipping off in Camden, New Jersey. It's the Camden Monarchs. I've got the CEO of the basketball team here. It's part of our good news story of the week. You're listening to The Political Source here on Word Radio.
EcoWord. Wednesdays on Reality Check with Charles Ellison.
4 p.m. till 7 p.m.
Right here on Word Radio.
And WordRadio.com.
We filmed Pennsylvania adoptive families and asked them why more people need to become foster or adoptive parents.
As a society, we have a responsibility to make sure every kid gets from being a kid to being a responsible adult.
I would encourage anybody to do it. You get so much more out of it than you expect.
Visit adoptpakids.org to watch the video, meet the kids, and learn how you can become a foster or adoptive parent.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Vision loss is not something that you feel until it happens.
Most people lose their vision from diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma, not at birth.
3 million Americans have glaucoma, and half don't even know it.
11 million people in the United States have macular degeneration.
So many eye disorders can be treated if caught early.
Make a plan today to get your eyes checked.
Visit brightfocus.org to learn more.
Word family, you are not alone.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Word Radio wants you to know that those who suffer from this disease,
their families,
and friends are not alone. Word Radio encourages everyone to fight.
That's why we're launching Fight for Word, an awareness campaign aimed at bringing attention to early detection,
support groups, prevention, and treatment of breast cancer.
This month, we're shining a light on those in the fight.
Plus, all month long, when you start or renew your 4Word membership, you'll get a very special pink Fight for Word t-shirt.
Keep the conversation going with the hashtag #FightForward.
And share inspirational messages, stories, and words of encouragement.
Make a difference.
Together.
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 Together, let's fight forward.
For more information or to start or renew your 4Word membership, call 215-425-7875.
Drive in with Solomon Jones. Drive home with Charles Ellison. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Philadelphia, independent black media.
Welcome back to The Political Source here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. It's the final hour of The Political Source. We're going to finish up our callers right now before we go to our next guest. Let's go to Gary. Gary, you're on The Political Source.
Hey, good morning, Vince. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I should say. Good afternoon. Yes. I was listening to the conversation that you were having, and I think it's your brother Prince that called, and you had asked, he said he was a Tiger Woods Republican. And I'm just trying to figure out, what does that mean?
That's why I had him explain it. He basically said it was one who believes in hard work, being excellent, being the best. That's what he considered a Tiger Woods Republican. I'm just telling you what he said it was.
Yeah, okay, I'm just going to say, I don't think that has anything to do with parties. I think the average black man that's out there, he wants to work hard, he wants to do well, maybe have a business, work and take care of his family. So that has nothing to do with party, whether you're on the Democratic side or Republican side, in my opinion. However, this entire election, we're always put in a position where we have to take the lesser of two evils. And I'm not really all happy about the Democratic Party, I'll be honest with you. But until we start holding people accountable, because if you look at the scenario, we pay their salaries. Basically, they pass a lot of legislation that benefits corporate America and very much doesn't trickle down to us. Like you have the organization ALEC, and you know what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They lobby for these politicians and come to whatever party and say, hey, we got some money for you. We need you to pass this legislation to benefit this particular industry. We have to get smarter and stop being played, because the Democrats play us and the Republicans play us. But at least the Republicans really come out and tell you they don't really care about you, really about our needs and our concerns. Whereas the Democrats, we keep electing the same people. Look at Philadelphia. It's a classic example. Poorest big city. You see the thing going on at the schools with the lead paint and all that. That should not be. We have to do more maybe as individuals. I've always been involved in my children's schooling and been there at the meetings and down school board and all that. But even if the people don't engage in that, these individuals we elect to office have an obligation to do the right thing by our people, and they're not doing it. There is a higher being, and one day they're going to have to pay for all the shenanigans and neglect they put our people through. But I'm just going to say, for us, for the people that are listening, Word family, we have to do better in holding these individuals accountable and stop being excited about the cookout and the T-shirts. Okay? Thank you very much, Vince, for letting me speak. Thanks.
You're welcome, Gary. Thanks a lot for calling. Join Word Radio on October 20th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Bartram's Garden for an interactive conversation about environmental racism, how it impacts our daily lives, and what we as a community can do about it. Presenters include John Francis, author of Planet Walker and the Ragged Edge of Silence, Jeannie Kayumbe, founder of Life Do Grow Farm, Zuline Mayfield, Chester City environmental activist, Joanne Douglas, Youth River program manager at Bartram Garden, and featuring a special music presentation by environmental justice band Ill Fate of Natives. It's not just talk. You can also find out about job opportunities and resources as part of our livelihood job and resource fair. Some of the companies that will be on site include Serenity Sawyer, Brown ShopRite, Clean Water Action, Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, and more. Additionally, we will debut Wasted, our eco-word photo exhibit by Zamani Feelings, looking at the trash crisis in our city. We'll also have a healing drum circle by Music Over Matter with a special tribute to breast cancer survivors. Come out next Sunday, October 20th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Bartram's Garden and learn how our community is uniquely impacted by climate change locally, regionally, nationally, and globally. RSVP today at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. That's 215-425-7875. The EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit is supported by the Wyncote Foundation and Broken Philly, a project of Resolve Philadelphia. You're listening to The Political Source on Word Radio. I'm your host, Vincent Thompson, principal at Thompson Media Man Communications. This is our good news story of the week portion of the show, where I shine a light on something positive happening here in the greater Philadelphia region. So when you think of professional basketball in the Philadelphia area, you usually think of the Sixers, who have their offices and practice facility in Camden, New Jersey, but they play their games at the sports complex in South Philadelphia. But there is a brand new team that is in the arena. It's the Camden, New Jersey's basketball team. They have a professional basketball team. It's an expansion team this year. They are known as the Camden Monarchs. They will start playing in November in the new American Basketball Association. And joining me is Camden Monarchs Chief Executive Officer and owner, Giovanni Thompson, an African-American woman. We share the same name, but we are not related to each other. Right. Giovanni, congratulations, and welcome to The Political Source.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's ask, what makes a young woman who is in her 30s, you're a CEO of a global management company that deals with marketing, strategy, PR. You've worked with Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Microsoft. What the heck makes you say I'm going to own an ABA basketball team?
Well, just to clear that up, my clients have worked with Beyonce and Michael Jackson, and with Microsoft, I placed them there. But actually, I've always had a love for sports, and at the top of the year, I just decided that I wanted to get out of entertainment and music and take a stab at sports, and so I just started making the transition, and then an opportunity came from my partner, and I just, thought about it and took the risk.
But what made you think of that? Because most people don't say, "Oh, I'm doing this job, let me get out of it," that you're successful at, and say, "I'm going to start a sports franchise."
Well, it was never my intention to start the sports franchise at all. Like, I just wanted to do marketing and PR in sports. And the opportunity just came up. And, my partner felt really strong about it. So, we just did it.
How long ago? I guess you had to apply to the ABA, the American Basketball Association.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
It didn't take long at all because my partner was already working with them. Trying to help them, with the reconfiguration of just the new way that they're doing things. They've been around for so long. So it didn't take long. I believe I purchased the franchise in maybe April or March. So we, didn't have much time to get stuff together. But, we're really working really, really hard to, make sure that we're able to put a product out that Camden and just New Jersey in general can be excited about.
What's your vision for the Camden Monarchs? And ladies and gentlemen, you are hearing some exclusive stuff because I have I have the owner here of the team before her press conference tomorrow.
Right.
So I do appreciate that. So
I
you're
appreciate you.
you're hearing a lot of first stuff. What is your vision for the Camden Monarchs? They're a semi-pro basketball team.
Right.
What's your vision for the team?
My vision for the team is just to have a really exciting organization that is family oriented and just something that's really positive for the city. It's really important to me that my organization is very involved with the city and the redevelopment and just really getting these kids opportunities, outside of just picking up a basketball. I want to be able to show them that you can be in marketing, you can be in PR, you can be in management, you can be in all those things and still be involved with sports. I think sports is something that everybody loves from every class. Like everybody, loves going to a basketball game, loves going to a football game, so everybody can relate. So I just want to put out just a really exciting product and just really just put some life back into the city.
Well, the players that you have be mostly from Camden. What kind of players are?
Yeah, the players that I have, I actually only have one player from Camden that actually made it all the way through because we had a couple tryouts and we had training camp. His name is Terrence. And all the other players are either from Philadelphia, other parts of New Jersey, and think we have a couple players, maybe a couple from New York, maybe one or two from Baltimore.
Oh, wow. So they're spread out throughout the whole region.
Yeah, they're
right?
spread out. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the ABA. What is it? How does it compare to the NBA? I know these guys are semi-pros, so they're not.
Right. So the ABA actually is where the NBA came from. We all know that the ABA was responsible for the three-point shot and a lot of other things that the NBA uses. I know that the Denver Nuggets came from the ABA. The Nets, Sacramento, and then it's another team. Actually, the ABA still... Yeah, the Spurs, right?
San Antonio Spurs, right?
Right. And so it's just a lot of history and a lot of legacy there. We still have the same owner, Mr. Joe Newman. He's like 80-something years old. He's really, really cool. So, yeah, I'm just excited to be a part of something that just has stood the test of time. It's completely different. It's not, I don't want to say it's completely different rules from the NBA, but the ABA started with the excitement. And that's what and they still have those same type of exciting rules and things like that. So there's a time where you can, I think it's like something with like the red light goes off and so the points are doubled, things like that, like cool things like that. So a lot of the games are really high scoring. So
what will we see if we come to a Camden Monarchs game? I mean, the ABA was described in movies as like this fun league.
It's very fun, but it's very competitive. There are some serious teams. There are some teams that are, considered the ABA elite that are really, really strong and probably stronger than some G League teams out there. There are some teams that are bringing out 8,000 people, 7,000 people. So it's, it's really, the potential is really there for it to really be whatever it is that the city turns it in, into. So you'll see a lot of excitement, a lot of dunking. The halftime shows are going to be really fun and really interactive. We have all the other things that most NBA teams have, the dance team, dunk team, mascot, all that stuff. So it'll be comparable.
And so we're speaking to the owner and chief executive officer of the Camden Monarchs, a new basketball team, semi-pro basketball team that starts playing in November in Camden, New Jersey. They're part of the new American Basketball Association. This new resurrection of the ABA had their first season in 2000. The old ABA, the American Basketball Association, when it was around from 1967 to 76, was a major basketball league. It competed against the NBA, and then they merged in 1976. So this is a brand new ABA. From what I'm hearing from the Camden Monarchs, they're going to have fun. It's going to be excitement. They're going to be very community focused. And Ms. Thompson, I guess I was looking at your story, and I was pretty fascinated. You're a woman that already does stuff with NBA All-Star Weekend. You do Love and Basketball Tea.
Right.
It's an empowerment event for young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Will you bring that to the Monarchs, or are you still going to keep that with the NBA?
I'm still going to do that during All-Star Weekend. I actually am doing it. I partnered with Red Carpet Group and Briefcase Management. We're actually doing it in Chicago this year. I do want to actually bring the Love and Basketball Tea to Camden, just because it's just a really phenomenal event. Last time I had like a lot of NBA moms and just other influential women that were on TV and things like that, just came out and poured into the girls. It was very easygoing, not anything stuffy. It was just very like, a homey feeling. So I really want to be able to just place role models in front of these kids that they can just go up to, that are tangible, that they can, get the things that they need from them. So I'm definitely going to bring it to Camden.
So we want to let you know, what you're hearing, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the first in-depth interviews with the Camden Monarchs CEO, owner, Giovanni Thompson. She is the only black male or female that owns a professional sports team in the Delaware Valley. Right. So it's a great organization to support. It's a new ABA basketball team that's coming into the Delaware Valley. It's the Camden Monarchs. They play out of Camden, New Jersey. We're going to have more with Ms. Thompson in just a moment. You're listening to The Political Source here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, kind of work people more than 8 hours without overtime, kind of work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
This is Word Radio, independent black media.
Join me, Aisha Shahida Simmons, in Love with Accountability for a forum to disrupt sexual violence against women and children. From No to Love celebrates 25th anniversary of No, the Rape documentary, and 2019 release of the Love with Accountability anthology. Screening October 31st at the Lightbox Film Center. Conference and book launch November 1st at the Annenberg School for Communication and the African American Museum of Philadelphia. Get your tickets at lovewithaccountability.com.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Political Source here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. I'm your host, Vincent Thompson. We are talking about the Camden Monarchs ABA Semi-Pro Basketball League. It is kicking off its season in November. We're proud to have Giovanni Thompson, the owner and chief executive officer of the team, joining us to talk a little bit about the team. She is talking to us here at Word Radio before she holds her press conference tomorrow. So we have an exclusive interview with her here, and we do appreciate it. Okay, you have an expansion team.
Yes.
There's probably, 12? How many players on the team? 12, 15? 14 players on the team. Yeah. Usually expansion teams are not that good in their first couple of years. Well, what should folks listening expect of this team? Will they be good? No. Will we have a kind of a okay season as they build up? What should we expect?
I mean, well, we just won our first preseason game against the Rock City Ravens, which their team is in Rochester. We went there on Saturday, and we won 105-95. So that was exciting, and I think that they did pretty well. So I think that we're looking pretty good. I have faith in them.
So how many teams are in the ABA, and how do you guys?
How many?
Yeah.
Well,
And then you schedule it, I guess. How does this...
they break it down into regions.
Okay.
You have to play at least 6 teams home and away in your region, and then the other additional you can branch out to different regions if you want to. That's just to qualify for the playoffs. So I think total there, because there's ABA Russia or ABA Germany, ABA Mexico. So I think total it's like over 200 teams. But
you won't be playing all 200.
No.
Right. Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
We just tackle our region, and then whoever wins in that, then they come together, and then to get the the champion for the U.S.
Okay. So how many teams are in the U.S.? It can be approximate.
I think maybe 80 something.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. Team.
Yeah.
And you in our region, I guess the East Coast has maybe 10 teams.
It's a little bit more than that. I would say maybe 20.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Maybe 20.
So when does your first official game at home? How long is the season? How many games will you play? And where will you play your games at?
Okay, so we are playing at the Kroc Center in Camden. Shout out to the Kroc Center and the Salvation Army. They're really awesome. And our first game opener is November the 2nd against the San Diego Guardians. Game starts at 7 p.m. The San Diego Guardians just so happen to be the number 2 team in the league, so that will be pretty...
Okay. They don't give you a break.
Crazy.
They're not giving you a break.
They're not getting on a plane to give us a break at all. So that's going to be an experience. But yeah, so we play at the Kroc Center, and we play until March. Mm-hmm. I think around March the 6th or the 7th is our last game before we can qualify for the playoffs, and hopefully we will. And we're playing a total about home and away, maybe like 22 games, something like that.
And most of the games are on the weekends, right?
Right.
Are they Saturday and Sunday, or?
Most of the games are on Sunday afternoons, and some of them are on Saturdays.
Okay. So the players that you have 14 players.
Mm-hmm.
We know some of them we know they're going to get paid. That's one of the features of the league. But they're not getting NBA money. They're not getting G League money.
No.
So what do these guys do Monday through Friday in order to be prepared?
Well, some
Saturday?
of them, they're like one of our players, Lenny Cook, which we're super excited to have him. I know that he does some motivational speaking and some basketball clinics and things like that. So everybody is on a different spectrum. Some of the guys, they, maybe coaches on the side or, doing basketball oriented things. A couple of the guys are entrepreneurs, so they have their own businesses. So it's just a different, everything's all over.
What kind of player are you looking for? Every team wants to have a kind of a brand player. The New England Patriots look for a certain player. The Sixers want certain players on their team that mesh together. As the owner, what kind of players do you want to have?
I really want to have a player that is a leader, number one. And then my expectation for the players are just to have heart and just to have passion for what it is that they're doing, and really get in line with just the vision, and understanding how important this is for Camden, and how much of a basketball city Camden is. So we really don't want to go out there just not putting our best foot forward like the people that have done spectacular things before us. So as long as they understand the vision and have the passion and just have the heart on the court, then I think it'll work out for us.
How unique is it to be a black female sports team owner? I mean, you got guys. I imagine most of the team is black. Right, most coaches are black. How is it?
Well, some of them.
Some of them, right. But let's assume most of the team is black. Mm-hmm. I know your head coach is African American.
Right.
How has it been having to be the boss, having to say, this is what we're going to do, this is the look of the uniform, this is the kind of player I want, the buck stops with me?
Well, fortunately for me, I've mainly been in a position like that for a while. For some time, so it was just transitioning from a different area or a different type of job. But I've had my company for 6 years, so, and I've always, even in entertainment and music, I've always been around men, and been the leader of men, so it's not that difficult. But the thing is, on the sports side, I think that it's a lot more rare. So that's just the difficulties, and then people expecting you not to know anything about basketball and not understanding. I come from a basketball family, so those type of little slides of shade and stuff like that is kind of annoying. But other than that, it's what I've always done.
You're a rarity in sports, a black female sports owner. I can't imagine there's many black female sports owners of ABA teams. So,
I think it's like one, another lady. She's older. I don't know her name, but the owner of the ABA mentioned her to me before. But yeah.
So what has it been like in these last couple of months, knowing that you're going into a field as an owner that there's not many women in, whether it's in the ABA, the G League, hockey,
anything.
Anything, right. How's it been? And do you now consider yourself a role model?
Well, I guess I would be a role model because, I'm just trying to do everything above board and do everything in excellence and just beat the stigma. So I'm really, really mindful of, the things that I am doing so that the person that comes after me, they have it a little bit easier because they're not going to doubt that they can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So if I do it to the highest level and do it better than what the guys are doing it, then the young girl that comes after me that says, oh, I want to do it, she's going to have a easier chance than what I did.
We're speaking to Giovanni Thompson. She is the owner and chief executive officer of the Camden Monarchs, a brand new ABA basketball team that is starting in Camden, New Jersey. Their first game is November the 2nd at the Kroc Center in Camden, New Jersey. I guess tickets are available. We will get information about how you can do that. You're in a big hotbed city for basketball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got the Sixers in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They practice in Camden. Their main offices are in Camden. You got the Delaware Bluecoats in Wilmington, which is a G League team, which is the minor league for the NBA. You've got college teams that are successful, Villanova, Temple, all competing for fans, all competing for money, all competing for season tickets. How do you break through? What to you will be success in this first season financially?
To me, I'm not even really focused on the finances. I'm focused on, of course, you go into business to make money, but this is for Camden. So none of those people that you just mentioned are for Camden. So it doesn't. So for me, I believe that the city will support something that that they'll support the Monarchs, and they have been thus far. It's been really a great vibe, and a lot of people have come out to just support and give a lending hand and give me advice and things like that. So I'm not really worried about that because this going into it, my partner and my family is from Camden. This was for the city. So anything more than the city is really icing on the cake. But as long as the city is behind it, then we're good.
How do you build up a fan base? I remember hearing from the late Ed Snyder that the way he helped build up the Flyers was basically he had schools bring kids to the games, right? And the kids would see the games. They get so excited. They go home to their mom and dad and say, you got to send me to a game. And then mom and dad would buy tickets, and that's how the Flyers grew. He literally was shipping kids from schools and just have them watch hockey games. Is that kind of your formula where if you tap the kids?
We're definitely going to have the kids. We plan on doing some exciting things for kids leading up to November 2nd at the school. So, this is for the kids. This is for the family. So that was just like a no-brainer to really zone in on them.
So kids come to games, they tell their parents, and then it all kind of spawns from there. Parents bring the kids, that kind of stuff. Cool, right. Cool. Let me ask, final question to you, and I really do appreciate this. If people want information about the team, tickets, how do they do it? I guess one of the competitions is going to have to be family friendly, right? So ticket prices aren't that.
Yeah, ticket prices are very, very reasonable. General admission tickets are $10, and
what's a season ticket for the year?
Well, I don't really know because I don't do that part, but I just know that the general admission tickets are $10. I would assume a season ticket for a general admission ticket may be $8. I don't know how it works, but not my part. But yeah, and then it goes up to, of course, the floor seats are more, and things like that, for sponsors.
But the most expensive seat for your game is what?
The most expensive seat is, I believe, is $58, and that's to sit next to the players.
Okay.
And then and sorry to my team if I'm wrong, but that comes with like food, a gift bag, all access pass. It comes.
But it's much cheaper than going to a Sixers game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to make it reasonable for people.
Yeah.
So.
And even with the more expensive seats, they're not many. Majority of it is general admission and $10.
Okay, so it can be family friendly. You can bring family. I guess popcorn's reasonable, food's reasonable.
Yeah,
that
food
kind
is
of
reasonable. All that stuff is reasonable. We'll have our store there and, things like that. So it should be pretty fun. We'll do giveaways for kids every game, like a huge giveaway. So it should be great.
Last question to you, and I do appreciate it, Ms. Thompson, for coming on. Again, Giovanni is not related to Vincent Thompson, but if she is, I happen to say I have a family member that owns a basketball team.
Right.
So, but I guess my final question to you is that I've looked at some of the ABA teams in recent years, and the league has kind of gone up and down. Some teams have lasted a long time, others have folded after a year. How long are you committed to this? Because obviously, as an owner, you want to make money. Right. Are you saying, I'm going to do this for at least 3 years, Camden's going to see this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do it for longer than that. It's just that I'm going to continue to, level up. So, I'm in the plans of getting our own facility, all those type of things, because, again, it's for the city. So I want to have a facility that also doubles as like a community center for the kids and things like that. So now I don't know if we'll be with the ABA forever, but, right now we're locked in and, we really appreciate their support. But, the goal is to take this as big as it possibly can.
If people want more information about the team, is there a website? Is there a telephone number? How can they reach you?
No telephone number. I don't think it's a telephone number on the website, but the website is www.camdenmonarchs.com, and you can follow us on all social medias at Camden Monarchs. Tickets go on sale tomorrow, the day of the press conference. We're having dance team auditions on October 20th, so go on our social medias, check that out. Just a lot of cool things happening. So,
well, again, ladies and gentlemen, it's Camden Monarchs, CamdenMonarchs.com. I got to ask you this before you go. You have a cool logo.
Yes.
Every team has a story behind their logo. How they came up with the name, how they came up with the logo. What's the story behind the name, the Camden Monarchs? How did you come up with it, and how did you come up with the logo? Did you have a naming contest? Did you think about it in your head?
We didn't. Just me and my partner. We really wanted it to be, monarch is basically a king and something that's, royal, someone that's, high up in the hierarchy. So we just wanted something that was top tier to be synonymous with the city. The city has so many names, so many stigmas that are negative. So why not call our guys kings? Why not, have them be royal? Because that's what our people are. So that's why we, named them the Camden Monarchs. The Camden Kings sound a little cheesy, so I was like, oh, well, what about Monarchs? But that was pretty much the reason that we.
So you and your partner came up with it. It wasn't a naming contest.
No.
Sometimes it is.
No,
okay,
no.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I am happy to say that the owner has bought in some swag for us. So, owner, tell us what we have.
So we just got our new snapbacks, Camden Monarch snapbacks. We have an awesome apparel partner, A-Line Apparel, which is out of King of Prussia.
Great.
So They've done some really
So let me
awesome
get my
things.
first one. All right, I got my first one on. Okay, so I have so describe to people what they will see. We know that there is your Monarch logo that I saw has like a lion with a crown
with
on
the crown.
it.
Yeah, and our other logo is the C with the crown on it, which stands for Camden.
Okay.
You
All
know,
right. So I am happy to say that I have some of the first swag of Camden Martin. I've seen other people with it, so I'm going to try it on right now.
Well, you're the only person outside of the staff that has one.
Oh, I'm impressed. Well, I thank you very much. I feel awesome. It is good. It's high quality. I've looked at their stuff. Their uniforms are awesome.
Thank you so
So
much.
your home uniform colors are what? Your away uniform colors are what? I thought like gold.
Wrong person to ask, but I don't get into all that. But I think the home color is the gold.
Okay.
And then the away color is the black.
I can always tell an owner. You're like, that's what I diversify.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Any final thoughts that you'd like to let people know about your team and how they can support you?
Just come out and come to the games. Bring your family. I promise you it will be an amazing, amazing experience. I would love to have standing room only for the first game, just so, people can feel the excitement and go back and, tell the story about their experience. I really appreciate you guys having me. And I'm excited.
Well, we'd love having you. When I saw it, I said, we got to have her in.
Yeah.
When I saw an African-American female owning a basketball team, I said, that's like a unicorn. Yeah. That's a rarity. So I do appreciate it. Again, it's the Camden Monarchs. It's a brand new semi-pro basketball team starting in Camden, New Jersey. Their first home game is November the 2nd against the San Diego Guardians, the number 2 team in the league. They play at the Kroc Center in Camden, New Jersey. That game will be at 7 p.m. Their home games and their away games will normally be on Saturdays and Sundays. So it's enough time for folks to get to them, enjoy with your family. They're starting off really well, ladies and gentlemen. They're 1-0 in the preseason.
Yes, we are. We played the Baltimore Hawks this Saturday. They are, I believe, number 4. They're a very strong, exciting team.
Wow,
they're super exciting. Yeah. They have I'm excited just to see how their whole setup is, because they're like the,
they're the gold standard.
The hype team. Yeah, They're definitely the gold standard, and their players are like celebrity status in their town. So I'm excited for that, to see how they do.
Well, Giovanni Thompson, if there's anything that the political source can do, let us know. I know I will be attending a game in the future. I will call you and let you know. I won't be able to get to the November 2nd game because I have a commitment, but I will be at some games over in Camden.
Awesome.
So we look
Thank you so much.
Look forward to having you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Camden Monarchs, support this team. Support this African-American woman. She is trying to bring a professional sports franchise here. You can go over to Camden. It's easy.
Super easy.
You can drive over. You can catch Paco over. It's easy. And I know there's a bus, a New Jersey Transit bus that takes you right to the Kroc Center.
Yes, I believe it is the 465.
That's right. Right at the Camden Transportation Center. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll open it up to phone calls, and also we'll, if time permits, we'll try to play an interview that I did with the head of the New Jersey NAACP president. They met this weekend over in Cherry Hill. You're listening to The Political Source here on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
The Delaware Art Museum is pleased to present Posing Beauty in African American Culture. Opening October 19th, this exhibition examines the contested ways in which African and African American beauty have been represented in historical and contemporary contexts through a diverse range of media from the 1980s to the present, including photography, film, video, fashion, and advertising. Posing Beauty is on view October 19th through January 26, 2020. Learn more at delart.org. Support independent Black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to the final minutes of the Political Source here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. That was Jill Scott's A Long Walk, instrumental. Again, we always love to have Philadelphians music featured here on the Political Source. That I want to thank Giovanni Thompson, the owner of the new Camden Monarchs basketball team, for coming into the studio. If you're looking on our Facebook Live video, I'm wearing one of their new snapback hats. It is awesome. It is a great quality product. I think I'm going to be wearing this all day long. She bought some extras, so that we're not giving them away. We're giving them to staff. So don't call me. Don't ask me for a Camden Monarchs hat. I'm not giving you one. But we do have a few more minutes before we get off the air. So if you want to give us a call, 215-634-8065 or 1-866-361-0900. Again, we can take a little bit of time to summarize what has happened on the show today. We want to thank Diane Melly, the Executive Director of Second Century Initiatives for the Philadelphia Foundation, for coming on to discuss On the Table. On the Table is going to be happening on Thursday, October the 17th, throughout the region in the 7 counties, Philadelphia, the 5 counties that surround Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, Delaware. I'm probably forgetting one. And then if you go to South Jersey, Burlington, and Camden counties. Again, if you want more information on the On the Table initiative, you can go to the Philadelphia Foundation's website, which is philafound.org. That's PHILAFOUND.org. I will be participating in an On the Table discussion this coming Thursday after a City Council Live. So when we get a little closer, I'll tell everybody where I'm at. So continue to follow me on social media, Thompson Media Man Communications on Facebook, and also on Twitter. You can follow me there, and I will tell you exactly where I'm going to be at. I also want to thank Anthony DeFansanis. He's a doctor, PhD, Associate Professor of History at Otterbein University. He spoke to us today about the 4th Democratic presidential debate that's happening on Tuesday, October the 15th at his university. And also, we want to thank Camden Monarchs team owner Giovanni Thompson. She is starting a new ABA semi-pro basketball league. We had our first interview with her. It was an exclusive Political Source interview with her. They are going to hold their press conference tomorrow to announce the team. They will start selling tickets tomorrow for games for the Camden Monarchs. They play their first game November the 2nd at 7 o'clock at the Kroc Center. If you want more information, go to CamdenMonarchs.com. That's CamdenMonarchs.com. Again, we got a few minutes to get some calls in. Let's go to Maurice. You are calling into the Political Source. Hi, Maurice.
Thank you. What a privilege. You know what scares me the most about listening to your complete show is that, I'm sorry, but black people in Philadelphia don't know politics. They don't know how it works. They don't know what goes on. And they're just going with what happens today instead of thinking in the long term.
Well, that's why I'm on the show, Maurice. That's why we do this show.
I understand that, but I'm talking about the questions that they're asking you and the way they foresee things. Right now, everybody wants to talk about a Donald Trump when the clear and present danger is our mayor. He's going to get free 4 years to do anything he wants to do, and we have no recourse to defend ourselves. We think we're getting gentrified now. We're going to be gentrified out of Philadelphia in the next 4 years, and we have no recourse. We don't have any public officials that we can trust. I can't think of one that has done anything that really helps black people out in the last 4 years. Not a one. And that's the problem. We don't even have the mindset to even find anybody to vote for. You got to have something to vote for. That's why Anthony Williams ran. We knew he didn't have a shot, but he was the only person, so that's the only person we voted for. Same thing with the presidential election. I can't see not one of them making me feel like, ooh, I really want to vote for that. Forget Donald Trump. Just voting for a person to be president. I don't see none of them that I'd be like, that's the guy for me or that's the female for me, because what are they going to do for black people?
But here's my question, and I asked this to you, Maurice. Here's what I think Democrats have to be concerned about. In 2016, you still had some people who said, oh, Bernie didn't win the nomination, so I'm not voting for Hillary. And they still held it against her, and Donald Trump got in. And I think what Democrats need to do, if they really want to win against Donald Trump a second term, because I'm going to say this publicly, he can still win a second term. I see his path to victory very simply, right? He's galvanizing everybody who voted for him before, and that's the people he's hoping to ride for victory. I think what Democrats have to do in 2020 is they have to come together. Even if they don't like the person, they got to look at the bottom line. Like, this is our candidate. I either get this person in or I have Donald Trump. Like, I might not like this person, but this is better than what we have in. And sometimes I think we have to love, Democrats have to love somebody to elect them. Republicans think about power.
Yeah, but one thing I like to say about that is what you're saying is 100% true. That's the only way we can get a victory. But the problem is, Hillary was a terrible candidate. She was nobody that anybody wanted to vote for, but we did it anyway. And we don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to pick somebody that we have to vote for and hold our noses. We want somebody that we believe in, and that nobody that's running right now gives you that feeling like, wow, I would love to see them in office.
But there's never a perfect candidate in any election. Never. Well, you know what? You know what I think Obama was? Let me tell you what I think Obama was. And I respect President Obama. So I don't want anybody to hear me on this radio and think I'm against Obama. I think Obama should be right up there in your house with Malcolm, Martin, and Jesus as far as significant people in history. All right? But I also think that what Obama gave you was he tapped into a lot of people's hopes, a lot of people's dreams, and rode that to the presidency. And also, he had a candidate that people didn't like either in the late Senator McCain. So he had kind of a perfect storm. But people would say that Obama was not the perfect person. When he got into office, he didn't do not every African American loved Obama because of policies. So I guess what I'm telling people is, in no place in politics is there the perfect candidate. No, sometimes it might be the best candidate at that time.
But what I like to say to that is, we put Obama in office and gave him a gun, but when midterm elections came, we didn't give him no ammunition.
That's true. I'll give you that, Maurice. You are absolutely right about that. Thanks for giving us a call, Maurice. And I think we just got a few more minutes on the show. So I just want to give you a couple of things before we go off the air. I'll be on television tonight. I'll be on the Philly Cam Voices show starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, discussing the upcoming Philadelphia and Pennsylvania general election with host Amanda Johnson. You can watch the show on Comcast Channel 66 and Verizon Channel 29, only here in Philadelphia. The show will re-air every Monday at 6:30 p.m. this month. That'll be Monday, October 14th. the 21st and 28th on Comcast Channel 66 and Verizon Channel 29. And that's all the time we have for the Political Source show today. I want to thank you for listening. I'm your host, Vincent Thompson, principal at Thompson Media Man Communications. Stay tuned to Word Radio on air and online, and follow me on social media. On Twitter, my handle is MediaManCom. The show has its own Twitter. City Council Live has its own Twitter. It's the same. It's City Council Live. I give you all the political updates there. The next Political Source show will be on Monday, October 21st from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The next City Council Live show will be this Thursday, October 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. As I say every week, democracy is not a spectator sport, so please get involved in the civic affairs of your community. For everybody here at The Political Source, I'm your host, Vincent Thompson. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Stay tuned. Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton is next.
Word family, you are not alone.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Word Radio wants you to know that those who suffer from this disease,
their families,
and friends
are not alone.
Word Radio encourages everyone to fight.
That's why we're launching Fight Forward, an awareness campaign aimed at bringing attention to early detection,
support groups, prevention, and treatment of breast cancer.
This month, we're shining a light on those in the fight.
Plus, all month long, when you start or renew your 4Word membership, you'll get a very special pink Fight Forward t-shirt.
Keep the conversation going with the hashtag #FightForward.
And share inspirational messages, stories, and words of encouragement.
Make a difference. Together.
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 Together, let's fight forward.
For more information or to start or renew your 4Word membership, call 215-425-7875.
Get your money straight. Get my money right. With Solomon Jones and Akbar Hassan. Fridays on Wake Up with Word. 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Wincoat Wellness is changing the way the world ages by redefining home care. Wincoat Wellness makes it possible to achieve independent living through companion care. If you or someone you know has a loved one who is in need of home care services, the enrollment process is seamless. Give them a call at 215-277-5914 to begin enrollment with their dedicated team or home care associates, and before you know it, you'll be receiving care. Call now, 215-277-5914.
Amari's Restaurant, located at 5037 Baltimore Avenue, is open every day at 8 a.m. Ask about the special of the day. Senior discounts are available. Enjoy free live Sunday jazz from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Call now, 215-921-9552.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair. We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.